This is Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
Vanderbilt is ready to show its gold in prime time against South Carolina. The Commodores anchored down with stability and optimism behind second-year coach James Franklin and behind Aaron Rodgers' younger brother at quarterback, Jordan Rodgers. But Vanderbilt doesn't want to be anybody's little brother anymore, not even to the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, whose ninth-ranked team welcomes back superstar running back Marcus Lattimore returning from injury. South Carolina and Vanderbilt ready to kick off 2012. Welcome to ESPN College Football Primetime, served by Applebee's as part of Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week. Vanderbilt Stadium here in the SEC, Nashville, Tennessee, holds a little over 40,000, expecting close to capacity tonight for the Commodores coming off a bowl trip and hoping to build on their success last year under James Franklin, and South Carolina opening conference play on the road in what ought to be a good one tonight here in Nashville. Glad to have you with us and welcome to Nashville. I'm Reese Davis. I know it's not a holiday, but it probably ought to be a long-awaited start of the college football season. After a tumultuous offseason, great to have the focus on the field, where Vanderbilt is not a punching bag in the SEC anymore. As they storm onto the surface here in Nashville, they're ready to punch back. They hope they can punch back against South Carolina. Gamecocks with high expectations, ranked in the top 10. Samantha Steele in the Commodores tunnel as they get ready to anchor down.
Yeah, they just left me, Reese, but I will tell you this. I asked these Vanderbilt players yesterday, what's the difference about this team this year? They immediately told me a story of James Franklin in practice getting in the faces of his kickers for not bringing enough energy. They said there's a complete culture change, and it seems like the school's even buying in. Players are too. The school now has new lights, new turf, and pretty much new everything. A new Jumbotron also. They're trying to get this culture changed around here. They said that the biggest issue now is acting like you've been there. Guys, it's pretty hard when you haven't.
They really haven't been in this situation very often, Sam, but you know what? Neither is South Carolina. The Gamecocks opening in the top 10 for the first time in school history. Hey, forget all this double-directional, hyphenated schools to open. Start in the SEC. Jesse Palmer, David Pollack here. And the reason that South Carolina's in the top 10, they have two of the brightest stars in the game, one on each side of the ball. Marcus Lattimore coming back from injury, most notably.
When Marcus Lattimore is healthy, he's the best running back in college football. He is dynamic and very balanced, both running and catching the football. We know he's a tough runner that looks for hard yards, but he's surprisingly good in the open field. A lot of running backs right here would try to split the defenders and get 4 yards, get down. Flexible hips, he changes direction, gets outside, and he's off to the races for a house call. Now I think his open field running ability lends itself in the passing game. Very aware of where his blockers are. When he sees a crease, he hits it, gets north-south, and he can reach top speed very, very quickly. Off to another house call here. Now guys, this is the first time we're seeing Marcus Lattimore play since his ACL injury a year ago. All reports out of camp are that he's 100%, and if that's the case, bad news for Vanderbilt, because if he's 100%, Marcus Lattimore is a Heisman hopeful.
And good news for South Carolina in recruiting, because you go from one SEC freshman of the year to another one. And Jadeveon Clowney is a guy that we talked about coming out of high school, one of the top recruit in the country, and you see the physical gifts. And I'm not talking about being a first-round pick. I'm talking about being the overall #1 pick in the NFL draft. So quick. He talked about he didn't even know how to get lined up, and he was tippy-toeing last year. He got 8 sacks. Are you kidding me? If that's tippy-toeing, everybody in the SEC better watch out for Jadeveon Clowney.
He wreaked a little havoc on the doors last year. I checked the new Jumbotron, and it says inside 2 minutes to kickoff, time for a quick visit to the studio with Mark May, Dr. Lou Holtz, Brian Greasy, and Scott Vempel. Just about set to tee it up and have toe meat leather, guys.
RD, thank you so much. Brian Greasy and me, we're the new guys. The Hall of Famers, Lou Holtz and Mark May, are here. Coach, we got 10 seconds. You're taking a top 10 team on the road. What's the biggest challenge?
I think the fact playing at Vanderbilt. I took a Notre Dame football team there. We fought for our lives. Since they went with Jordan Rodgers at quarterback, Vandy is a completely different team.
The big key for Vanderbilt is going to be to try to bottle this enthusiasm that they've got in Nashville and take it into season 2. We'll hear from Mayday and Brian at halftime. College football 2012. Giddy up. Let's go.
Party people say, it's a new day, it's a new day. Celebrate and say,
You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Southeastern Conference 6th straight national championship and a top 10 team going on the road to start college football. South Carolina ranked 9th here in a rainy Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. There's Jadeveon Clowney. We will see him shortly because South Carolina won the toss and deferred. Vanderbilt will receive. Number 7 getting set to go after Jordan Rogers and the Doors. This rain started to fall very hard and very quickly. Landon Ard will kick off for South Carolina, and one of the new rules, he'll do it from the 35, and we are underway. And the new rule change gets the hoped-for dividend. Fewer high-speed collisions on kickoffs, out of the end zone for the touchback, but another new rule, Vanderbilt will start its possession on the 25 on touchbacks with kickoffs, and Jordan Rogers, Aaron Rodgers' younger brother, will take the field for the Doors.
Jordan Rogers has to play composed here tonight. He has to take what the defense gives him. At times late last year, he was forcing the issue, looking for too many big plays, and as a result, took unnecessary sacks and turned the football over. South Carolina's defense is not the type of defense you want to get greedy against. Jordan Rogers just has to play within himself, take the easy throws, get himself into a rhythm.
Zach Stacy at running back for the first snap of the 2012 season, and the Commodores running back has it, and he picks up about 3 yards out to the 28 before he's stopped by Bryson Williams. So Zach Stacy on that initial carry picked up 3.5 yards in the game last year, Vanderbilt against South Carolina. The Commodores had 4 yards rushing the entire game. A lot of time spent in the backfield by Jadeveon Clowney, Devin Taylor, Melvin Ingram, who's departed in company a year ago. Stacy might have moved a little bit quickly, timing issues on the snap for Vanderbilt. Matt Austin, our referee.
Before the snap, false start, 67 offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
That's Wesley Johnson, the left tackle, a versatile guy on the offensive line. He's going to be matched up against those tough defensive ends from South Carolina.
Yeah, and he was matched up against Clowney, and that's why he had a false start.
Shaky?
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously seeing, and he's going to be an impact guy to watch all day, but you saw the formation too. They got to have to chip and help Wesley as much as they can because they got to know where number 7 is every play.
Second down and 12. Stacy has it again. Cuts back, good running room up across the 30-yard line, and he'll be a couple of yards short of the first down. It'll bring up a third down and short. Stacy a couple of productive carries, but he is taking himself out of the game as we have a look at the impact players for Vanderbilt. Zach Stacy's already had an impact. Jordan Matthews averaged 19 yards per catch last year in the SEC, and Wesley Johnson, we've already heard from him.
I think Zach Stacy is one of the most underrated running backs in the entire country. He's small at only 5'9", 210 pounds, but he's strong, fights through tackles. The reason no one knows about him is because he plays at Vandy, but now as the weather gets bad, it starts raining. The running game going to have to become very important for Vanderbilt.
Wesley Tate checked in, but then emptied out of the backfield, and Jordan Rogers runs it well, as he did so often for the Commodores last year, just enough to move the chains. And the first down of the night goes to Vanderbilt.
A running quarterback is every defense's biggest nightmare when they have to account for another player carrying the football. Aside from a running back, just a design draw here, Davey. Getting positive yards up front, little crease. Only needed 2 or 3, but he's a weapon they have to watch out for all night.
And Vanderbilt's offensive line, they're going to zone. They're going to use misdirection. They're not going to try to line up and just beat South Carolina in their physical matchup.
As Wesley Tate in at running back. Tate has played some receiver and some running back. He's the younger brother of former Notre Dame star Golden Tate, now with Seattle. And Tate in after Zach Stacy appeared to be nicked up early with another positive game.
Well, for as good as Vanderbilt is at running back with Zach Stacy, they do have a lot of depth. You're going to see Tate, you're going to see Jerron Seymour, Warren Norman, and a highly touted freshman, Brian Kimbrough, get carries tonight.
Tate with a flag on the play, looking for running room around the corner and really doesn't find any. We'll see what the flag is on the 2nd and long. Perhaps an illegal formation. I didn't see anyone move early. See what the call is from Matt Austin.
See James Franklin right now. He wants the tempo picked up. He wants the play call getting in, his guys running up to the line of scrimmage and try to get a jump on the South Carolina defense.
And what did he talk about in the meeting with us the other day? I don't want flags early. You know, we want to make sure we compose ourselves on a big stage, and they got to make sure they can't keep putting themselves behind the sticks. And then you start letting Clowney and Taylor tee off on you in 3rd and long.
Here is Zach Stacy. Rushed for nearly 1,200 yards last year. It was a single-season school record. He has a great opportunity this year to become Vanderbilt's all-time leading rusher. He needs 631 yards. And here's Matt Austin. Well, opening night for the officials, too. And the officials are using an experimental in the SEC headset system. That's not causing this right now, but it allows them to communicate in real time without huddling up. But in this case, for whatever the confusion is down on the field, they've had to spend a little time getting together. Well, have they?
These aren't replacement refs.
Did they pick up the flag? Let's see what.
Illegal formation on the offense. More than 4 men in the backfield. That penalty's declined. Play will be 2nd down.
Okay, so that was a confusion. That's Lorenzo Ward, the new defensive coordinator for South Carolina, standing in front of Steve Spurrier. I'm not certain that Lorenzo necessarily wanted to decline that penalty. But there is confusion is running amok, and this is a veteran, very good SEC crew right now. I know you might have been watching some preseason NFL and seen some confusion from time to time.
And as a player, I think it's the worst because you got your first jitters out. You know, you hit each other, you're ready to rock and roll, and then this starts to slow you down, and you just got, come on, let's play.
Are they confused over which down it is? Perhaps there's a James Franklin trying to sort it out and get an explanation.
The upcoming down will be 3rd down.
Okay,
makes more sense to decline it now.
Right, now you understand the declining.
All right, if you're Vanderbilt right now on offense, find Jadeveon Clowney. Where is he? You want to get 2 hats on him right now. He's standing up just on the hash mark inside. It's a guy they got to keep an eye for. Get 2 hats on him, protect the quarterback.
They just moved him right into that A gap, and they get away from him. Wesley Tate. Tate still on his feet, pushing into South Carolina territory, and he'll have another 1st down for the Commodores.
Very impressed early with the physicality of Vanderbilt up front. They are not very big. They only average 289 pounds across the board, but right now a lot of misdirection, trying to get angles on this South Carolina defense, Davey, as you see how they were able to trap Clowney.
And they're excited. They're trying to get upfield on 3rd and long. Screens and draws always slow defensive linemen down. They can't block him one-on-one. They can't block these guys consistently, so you got to keep them off balance.
Zach Stacy has returned to the Commodore backfield. Vanderbilt has yet to throw the ball. They still haven't. Stacy hit in the backfield. That's big Devin Taylor setting the edge and knocking the doors running back down in the backfield. Kelsey Quarles also in to help.
I think Jadeveon Clowney gets all the publicity, but I think Devin Taylor can have a very big year this year. With all the attention Clowney gets, all the double teams, Taylor's going to see a lot of one-on-ones. He's got to win those.
First pass of the night is complete. Chris Boyd has the grab, and Boyd, who is the leader among returning receivers in the SEC in touchdown catches now that Derek Rogers has excused himself at Tennessee. He had 8 touchdowns last year, and he has the first catch of the season for the Commodores, and it brings up another 3rd down. 3 yards to go this time. What do you expect to see from them here?
Well, I love the play calling so far by James Franklin, using up tempo, short passes, extension of the running game, setting up 3rd and short. Why not another run right here? Shift power, the offensive line playing very well.
Toss and misdirection to Stacy, and absolutely nothing doing. Storming in to make the tackle from his cornerback position was Jimmy Legree.
Jimmy Legree is going to have a big game here tonight. I think the biggest question mark on the South Carolina defense is the secondary. They lost Stephon Gilmore in the first round of the draft. C.C. Whitlock's graduated. Akeem Auguste's got an injury. Jimmy Legree only 2 starts in his career. Big stop that now sets up 4th down.
All right, it's a 4th down, long 4, maybe almost 5. They've got to get almost to the 39. No sign of the punter.
It's aggressive.
Probably just not going to hike it. And that's what you got to focus on.
Jordan Rogers. They are. They're going for it. And on the slant, it's incomplete. Rogers was looking for Jordan Matthews, and South Carolina gets the stop. So what do you think about going for it and then putting South Carolina in good field position?
Easy to say this now, and I love the confidence of James Franklin. He's trying to set the tone, not just for this game, but for this season, being aggressive. But now you're giving the football back to South Carolina right close to midfield. And in fairness, that's a play that needs to be completed. You got to make that catch.
Yeah, and if I'm obviously the defensive coordinator, I'm not happy with it. I want to try to pin them down deep and make them drive the length of the field. I want them to see what their offense can do in a long field, not a short field.
So Marcus Lattimore is in the backfield with Connor Shaw. Lattimore, his first carry, coming off knee surgery, and he'll be hit in the backfield and stopped. The ball came loose, and Vanderbilt has the turnover. At least they think they do, and we have another little conference going on. The South Carolina offense has not left the field. Last year when these two teams played, South Carolina put it on the ground 6 times, and it is indeed Vanderbilt's ball. 6 times South Carolina put it down last year. Vanderbilt recovered none of them, and they get an early turnover here.
And I think one thing, Marcus Lattimore's coming off knee surgery. He hasn't had a lot of totes. He hadn't had to worry about ball security the whole off season. So this is something you did worry about him. Once he took live hits in a game, do you worry about the fumbles issues?
Vanderbilt knew defensively they wanted to hit him. As you said, Davey, he's been in a glass house ever since the spring. Ball security was going to be an issue, and how about that for sudden change? Getting the football right back now in South Carolina territory.
And that makes going for it on 4th down earlier okay.
Great play.
Well, if you pin him inside the 5, though, you'd have it at the 5 going in.
Exactly. Carl Butler making that defensive play for Vanderbilt, and Steve Spurrier said before the game that this is the type of thing you worry about in opening games, whether you're going to put it on the ground, breakdowns in the kicking game. And the officials upstairs are going to have another look at the Lattimore fumble. It looked clear to me that he was still up when the ball came loose.
You always wonder the mentality of a runner coming off of an ACL injury, whether he's thinking about that or not. I just give credit right here to this Vanderbilt defense swarming in. Look at the penetration up the middle. Secondary players getting in the backfield as well. Carl Butler, a linebacker, getting an arm in on the football as well. That's just a tremendous job of gang tackling, allowing him to go nowhere, just seeing black shirts. And I think right now, guys, if you're Vanderbilt, you want to make a statement. Great teams make their opponents pay when they make big-time mistakes like this. There's a perception out there, a lot of people that don't know Vanderbilt football, wondering to find out if they're for real tonight. It's one of these plays right here, if this is a fumble.
First down.
Now you got to make them pay for it. And I wouldn't be so surprised right here, guys, if James Franklin takes a shot.
And who he throws to is going to be important, too, because when you got guys on the outside, Jordan Matthews is 6'3". We talked about the inexperience at corner. Throw it up, but you got to trust Rogers first to make a right decision. But throw it up on the outside and let him try to make a play on the outside. Him or Boyd, both 6'3" targets.
Stacy will keep it on the ground. That's been effective in the early going, and Zach Stacy picks up 3.5, maybe 4. He's been a workhorse in the early going after missing a couple of plays, getting banged up in the early going. It'll be 2nd down for the Doors.
They have to give Zach Stacy the football as often as they can tonight because he's the best player on offense for Vanderbilt. And last year, he didn't get the football that much. He was not a workhorse, only had 3 games of over 20 carries. But if you're going to win tonight, give your best football player the football as oftentimes as you need to win.
Misdirection. Clowney absolutely swallows it up. Jadeveon Clowney, who reputation is much better against the pass and against the run That time it was a virtual pass rush. He was back there almost as quickly as Stacy got it.
And that is the reputation. So you want to test Clowney and his ability to stop the run, but you watch him get off the football. He gets underneath and just does a great job recognizing the play, blows up the tackle, and is in the backfield. And that's what you want to see. You want to see him being hyperactive, get in the backfield as quick as possible because he's so gifted. Unleash him.
That was poor Josh Gillespie who was pulling around there to try to take him out, and Josh got steamrolled that time. 3rd down and 11. Wesley Tate has returned. Rodgers buying a little time, starting to run out of time, and now it's all gone. And guess who's there? Rodgers saying that he didn't think he went down, but Jadeveon Clowney cleaned it up. Shaq Wilson was back there as well, and Whammy Ward, who loves the pressure, gets a little from his star
Tremendous
defensive
play
end.
call by Lorenzo Ward, zone blitz. Shaq Wilson here playing middle linebacker, comes through untouched, and he forces Jordan Rodgers to flush out. I talked earlier, you have to know when the play is dead against this defense. With Jadeveon Clowney and all that speed, throw the football away. A punt is okay. You take unnecessary sacks like this, and you start losing the field position battle.
Richard Kent to punt it away for Vanderbilt, so both defenses making a statement early. Vanderbilt getting the turnover, in South Carolina not making them pay. Ace Sanders hauled it in, and Archibald Barnes was there to swallow him up immediately. He timed that perfectly, and South Carolina will be stuck inside its own 20 to start. But the turnover didn't hurt, thanks to big number 7.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Opening night of the college football season, opening night in the SEC. College football primetime served by Applebee's. Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, David Pollack, Samantha Steele. I know you're happy because football's back, and we're delighted that you've joined us tonight. About halfway through the first quarter, South Carolina turned it over on his first play. Marcus Lattimore fumbling. The defense picked him up, forced a punt, and now Connor Shaw is back to run the offense, and we've had a few flags in the early going. Everybody pointing at each other. It's his fault. No, it's his fault. And South Carolina not going to be pleased with this decision by Matt Austin and his crew.
False start, 67 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And the one thing that drives you crazy now is, as a defensive player, if you jump off sides a little bit, the offensive guys are jumping so they can draw the flag. Chase Garnham wasn't even in the neutral zone yet. He wasn't across the line of scrimmage, and you saw the right guard for South Carolina try to jump off sides and get the infraction, but he didn't get it. I'm glad. No acting. It's not soccer. You can't flop, man.
But if the offense reacts to the defense performing such trickery. 1st and 15. Connor Shaw flushed out of the pocket. And Connor's a dangerous runner, and he's chased out of bounds by Archibald Barnes. And Connor Shaw, the junior quarterback from Flowery Branch, Georgia, giving Steve Spurrier a level of comfort.
He sure is, and he's got to run a lot tonight. Such a threat running the football, not only on designed runs, but when plays break down like that just there. Force Vanderbilt's defense to play with great eye discipline, locate the football. Does Marcus Lattimore have it? Does Connor Shaw have it in the zone run game? Be a weapon.
Pick up of 8 on first down for Shaw. 2nd down and 7. Fake to Lattimore. Shaw firing and intercepted. Picked off by Kenny Ladler. Looking for help. Ladler, the 2nd turnover of the night for South Carolina, and Vanderbilt has it inside the Gamecock 25.
I didn't hate the decision by Connor Shaw on this throw. I just don't think he got it there with enough velocity. Play fake. He's trying to hit DL Moore at the top of the screen. He just throws the football and leaves it too far inside, and that allows the safety to make a play on the football. If that's thrown more outside, I think that's a big completion.
And this is what Vanderbilt feasted early in the season last year on, was turnovers. This creates and helps their offense get in situations where they can become more successful.
A golden opportunity for the team dressed in black. Rodgers. Wesley Tate's open. Inside the 10. Tate to the 5. It'll be first and goal for the Commodores.
Jordan Rogers is playing with so much more confidence this year. Having been the starter for 7 games a season ago, he understands the nuances in the offense. He's not going to force the issue. Everything's covered downfield. Don't force it. Check it down to your back. Allow him to go make positive yards for you. Get the first down. Tremendous decision by Rogers.
And a throw last year he doesn't make because he talked about it in meetings with us the other day. He didn't check the football down.
Zach Stacy gets nothing. It'll be second down and goal. Devontae Holloman the first to hit him.
That kind of completion gives a head coach a lot of confidence with respect to play calling for his quarterback. If he knows that your quarterback's not going to hang you out to dry by forcing throws deep downfield, he'll keep dialing up first down throws like that and give you an opportunity.
And this is where Jordan Rogers' feet become so important to this Vanderbilt offense, because him being able to run the football, picking up an extra blocker, his rushing touchdowns will climb from a year ago, but he had 4, and this is what makes him really hard to defend down here.
Keep an eye on number 25. Brian Kimbrough, the 4-star running back, is in, and now they're in Wildcat with Josh Grady set to take the direct snap. Fakes to Kimbrough. There is a flag down, and Grady is swallowed up immediately by Shaq Wilson. We'll see what the penalty is, but after the play, it would be third down and goal.
Another very costly penalty potentially here.
South Carolina's run 3 offensive plays, turned it over twice. They've had some penalties. It is not the steadiest of starts for the 9th-ranked team.
Illegal formation on the offense. More than 4 players in the backfield. That penalty's declined. Third down.
And that's the second time that Vanderbilt has done that. This is declined, so third down now. What do you expect to see the Commodores do here? Haven't moved it an inch since that first play.
I think you're throwing the football here, but I think you're giving Jordan Rogers the option of potentially running the football pass run. I think James Franklin wants a timeout. He's going to think this through. Just burned a play, lost it on a penalty. He's got one shot here, putting this in the end zone.
He's already gone for it on fourth down once.
We've seen jump passes out of their tailbacks.
Yeah.
We've seen trick plays. Maybe this is one of those times you dial them up too.
Vanderbilt trying to get the first score when you come back to Nashville.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. Try the new Southwest Flavors 2 for $20 menu all season long. See you tomorrow. And in part by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And Buick. Experience your kind of convenience, peace of mind, entertainment, and luxury.
Have a look at the chair that those 2 Vanderbilt students are sitting on studying.
It's a big baseball mitt.
Yeah, it's called the Baseball Glove Lounge. It's a popular study place. Vanderbilt, of course, Columbus, South Carolina, both of these schools with tremendous baseball programs. And there's a lot of studying that goes on here at the bastion of academia, the Harvard of the South. Third down and goal from the 5. See if James Franklin has studied enough to find a weakness in this South Carolina D. Jordan Rogers throwback, and it's intercepted by Shaq Wilson. Wilson not going to have the speed to take it all the way. Zach Stacy prevents the touchdown, and so in the first quarter, 3 turnovers, 2 for the Gamecocks, and now a costly one for Vanderbilt.
We talked about Jordan Rogers playing poised and playing within himself and not trying to do too much. This play never had a chance of success. Shaq Wilson does a great job reading this. They roll it out to the right, expecting a lot of flow from the defense. Right there, when you turn around, you got to throw that thing out of bounds. A field goal is okay. Now you've given South Carolina possession back midfield.
But I question more the play calling, because you're throwing a screen back to the backside. You're not even looking. You're just turning and trying to get all the flow to go the other way. Great play by Shaq Wilson, using his eyes and making a play.
Connor Shaw keeps it on the zone read. Shaw deep into Vanderbilt territory, and on first down, he picks up about 19 yards before Carl Butler stops him. We'll give him 20. First and 10 for the Gamecocks.
You know, these zone read plays put so much stress on a defense, particularly on the defensive line. Trying to isolate a defensive end, they did it right there, and that allowed Connor Shaw to get free.
Back to Lattimore. His first carry since the fumble, and Lattimore headed for the end zone. Touchdown, South Carolina. 29 yards, and that'll make that knee feel rather springy.
And you were just talking about what it does to the defensive end and put him in a bind. And now you have a quarterback that has a nice play. And now you have to honor Connor Shaw's ability to run the football. Great job by Marcus Lattimore seeing the hole, exploding through it. And that knee looked pretty good right there on that cut at the end, too.
That's kind of what shows me that knee's 100%, was those open field moves at the very end of that run. That looks like the Marcus Lattimore of old.
Adam Yates pokes through the extra point in South Carolina after a disastrous start on offense. And its defense bailed them out, creating a turnover on its own, and then Connor Shaw ran it and then gave it to Lattimore for the first score. South Carolina's just taken a 7-0 lead on Vanderbilt as James Franklin saw his team turn it over. The 5-yard line of South Carolina, long run back by Shaq Wilson, and 2 plays later the Gamecocks were in the end zone. There's Shaq Wilson who made the interception. Marcus Lattimore scoring his first touchdown less than a year after being knocked out with a significant knee injury in a game against Mississippi State, but Lattimore looked most healthy on the last touchdown run, and now Vanderbilt will have to try to find a way to respond after missing a couple of opportunities. And they forced turnovers in South Carolina territory. Landon Ard will kick it from the 35. Landon slipped as he got there, so Vanderbilt will have an opportunity to return this one. It's Stephen Clark. And Clark gets it almost up to the 25-yard line. And that's where the Doors will put it in play. Let's have another look at Lattimore's touchdown.
It's a tremendous example of zone blocking by the South Carolina offensive line. You see Ronald Patrick, the right guard, doing a great job climbing into the second level, sealing a linebacker, and Marcus Lattimore untouched into the secondary. He does the rest.
Well, Lattimore scored a couple of touchdowns against Vanderbilt last year. One on a run, one on a 50-plus yard pass reception. Didn't play as a freshman when the Gamecocks came here to Nashville. He was nursing an ankle injury, but glad to be back out there and looking healthy for the Gamecocks with 2 carries so far. A lot of time for Jordan Rogers, and that one goes right through the hands of Chris Boyd. Catch has to be made, 2nd and 10.
But I do like Vanderbilt coming back out and giving the ball to Jordan Rogers. I mean, trust him. This is a guy that he's still in his 2nd year in the offense. Obviously, he's still learning, but you're going to have to throw the football. You've had some success early, but he's got to be a guy that can use his feet along with his arm.
These receivers got to start making plays for him, too. I mean, we've seen 2 bad drops
there was some
so
steam
far.
On that one, though.
Yeah, by these Vanderbilt receivers. Make the catch.
Jordan Matthews does make the catch, but he's not going to get any yards after the catch. It's going to be 3rd and long. Jimmy Legree on the stop. You know, this, I think, the rest of this half, next couple of drives, really a litmus test for what James Franklin is trying to instill at Vanderbilt. When something goes wrong, how do you respond? Last year was a battle cry. We're not the same old Vandy, and they fought back pretty well last year, but that was a pretty demoralizing turn of events at the other end.
Anchor down. It's what James Franklin says. It's written on the field. It stands for stability. The offense has had 2 bad turnovers at inopportune moments. Got to keep fighting. The game's still early.
No, 1 for them. One bad turnover, one led to 1 score. Rogers on the roll. Taylor with pressure. Flag comes in the holding area, and Rogers goes down again. Devin Taylor, who is the SEC's active leader in sacks. We've spent so much time talking about Clowney. He's got a pretty good senior defensive end on the other side as well.
Holding, offense 89, penalties decline, 4th down.
It's Dylan Vanderwall, tight end from Woodland Hills, California, who was trying to help out his quarterback, got called for the hold. Now the Commodores will have to punt it away with Richard Kent.
As an offense, you have to stay on schedule, and that's why it's so important to make those catches early in the drive to keep the 3rd downs manageable. Like Davey said earlier, you let these defensive ends flex out and pin their ears back, it's a long day for Jordan Rogers in this line.
Kent punting it away to the dangerous Ace Sanders. No pressure from South Carolina, and Sanders calls for the fair catch. right at the 31-yard line, and that's where South Carolina will put it in play. 49-yard punt. Well, we're seeing an SEC conference matchup, a big-time non-conference matchup, Saturday Night Football on ABC. The winningest team in the history of the sport, the Michigan Wolverines, going to take on the reigning national champions and second-ranked Alabama. Nard Robinson against a somewhat rebuilt Tide defense. They say rebuilt, but really what you have is some experienced guys who are playing larger roles.
We're curious to see if they can be physical and as dominant as they were a year ago. You mentioned some of those names: Jesse Williams, a nose guard; Damian Square, defensive end; Nico Johnson; C.J. Mosley, a linebacker; Robert Less. You're right. A lot of good playmakers still on that side of the ball.
Here's a playmaker for the Gamecocks. Lattimore sort of stumbled. He didn't pick up anything. It's going to be 2nd and 10.
And you're seeing a lot of zone read. And that's what Spurrier's offense has really morphed into, is Connor Shaw's ability to use his feet. Now you got Marcus Lattimore back. Remember, when Marcus Lattimore got hurt last year, the last 8 games of the season, their rushing got better. So you lost one of the best players in college football, but you learned how to use Connor Shaw, and his ability to run the football, he doesn't always have to beat you down the field. So just keep watching how much respect you have to pay to Connor Shaw.
Shaw gained over 500 yards rushing last year, and he also lost 200 plus in sacks. Shaw takes his time, has a wide open man in the middle, and he completes it to Demir Bird. Demir Bird, a sophomore from Sicklerville, New Jersey, had some eligibility problems as a freshman, only had 1 catch. He's got tremendous speed, picks up 13.
Yeah, and watch what Connor Shaw stepping up in the pocket does to the linebackers, having to honor the run right there. He steps up, look behind him, it opens up the field behind him, so his feet opens up the passing game.
A Sanders with a grab. Sanders stumbles, and he's going to be knocked down for a very short gain. Javon Marshall, one of the defensive captains for the Commodores, on the stop.
I think one of the biggest question marks coming into the season for South Carolina's offense, aside from Marcus Lattimore's health, is a wide receiver. They lost Alshon Jeffrey in the 2nd round of the NFL draft. He was 6'4", the big playmaker deep downfield. Which of these new receivers is going to emerge this year in this offense?
Lattimore very close to first down yardage, knocked down by Kenny Landler.
Because there's a ginormous height differential from last season. When you look at the starting receivers of South Carolina, Ace Sanders, 5'8", Bruce Ellington, 5'9", Demir Bird, 5'9".
How do we quantify ginormous?
Big.
Big, okay.
Big.
A lot.
Big difference. And you know, especially down in the red zone, we might see where that plays as a difference. But right now, South Carolina's not going to throw the ball. I'm good. We're just going to pound it.
Here are several of the receivers under 6 feet. Just a couple of years ago, Spurrier ran guys like Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Gurley and Jason Barnes out there, and D.L. Moore, who's still on the roster, all in that 6'3" to 6'5" neighborhood. Spurrier said the other day, I told the coaches, we need one of those tall guys to throw to down in the red zone. Connor Shaw playing a little option. Looked as if he had an option to pitch to Lattimore, or maybe even a little inside pitch, but he kept it. Dances down to about the 42-yard line.
South Carolina's biggest advantage on offense in this game, guys, is up front on the offensive line. They're so much bigger than Vanderbilt. They outweigh the opposition up front by an average of 40 pounds per player. They got to take advantage of that, and they're doing that early with the run game.
2nd and 6. Hard count, and now they'll look to the sideline. Make the checks. Inside a minute to play in the first quarter. Shaw has it. Connor Shaw again down close to another first down. They're going to mark him just a little bit short of the yellow line. It'll be 3rd down and very short. Here is the difference in size that Jesse was talking about.
South Carolina, 6'5" average across the board, but 308 pounds, and a very small Vanderbilt D-line that's going to have to move around. They can't be stationary and push this South Carolina offensive line back.
And so, a lot of times that opens up holes because you move right out of the way of where somebody's supposed to be, and it makes the read harder for the linebacker. 3rd and short, I want Connor Shaw keeping the football if I'm on defense. I want to hit him as much as possible.
It's the first 3rd down of the year for South Carolina. Lattimore is going to pick it up inside the 35 as we come to the end of the first quarter. And South Carolina, after a slow start, a couple of early turnovers, but then took an advantage, the turnover of their own to get a score. They're up 7-0 as we head to the second quarter. You're watching the SEC on ESPN, a conference opener in Nashville at Vanderbilt Stadium. South Carolina ranked 9th in the country. In the preseason top 10 for the first time in school history, Jadeveon Clowney has made his presence felt for the South Carolina defense. Gamecocks have a touchdown from Marcus Lattimore, and they're up 7-0 as we open the second quarter. South Carolina has it at the Vanderbilt 33-yard line with a 1st and 10. Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, David Pollock, Samantha Steele wishing you a very happy start to the college football season. Opening with conference play. Connor Shaw has it on the zone read, been very effective running the football, and looks as if Connor's going to have another first down for South Carolina.
And one of the issues we had about South Carolina, new offensive line, and what did Spurrier talk about? Brandon Shell, their left tackle. He's a big dude, 300 plus pounds. You see him still doing a good job getting to the next level and blocking linebackers. Huge holes.
Lattimore in the backfield. Quade Gilchrist, a fullback, primarily a blocker. And they switch sides. Lattimore has it again. Marcus into the secondary, and he's knocked down just short of the 15-yard line by Javon Marshall.
What I love right now is the creativity and the play calling and the running game for South Carolina. It's not just conventionally turning around and handing off to Marcus Lattimore. We've seen zone read with Connor Shaw keeping it, zone read with Lattimore. We've seen the option game. Later, wouldn't be surprised if you see Bruce Ellington from wide receiver line up in the Wildcat package. It's a lot of different offense for a defense to have to get used to and adjusted to, and it's hard to locate the football.
And if I'm a South Carolina fan, I don't want to see Connor Shaw throwing the football. He's had an opportunity, he made a pick. This is working. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Keep running the football.
It's been working for 2 years.
Yeah.
Shaw's going to call a timeout. Have a look at those yards per carry for both Shaw and Lattimore. Over 9 yards per carry for Shaw so far and 7 for Marcus Lattimore. One of the things, guys, that we wanted to watch was just how comfortable Marcus Lattimore was on that knee. He hurt a knee against Mississippi State last year. Cost him the end of the season. He was averaging nearly 117 yards per game when he was hurt. His freshman year, he was the freshman of the year, both nationally and in the Southeastern Conference. He's already scored 31 touchdowns.
It's great to see that. It's good to see him back at 100%. If he's not, he's very close. But I think this knee injury has really tested Marcus Lattimore. It's tested his will. He had a lot of difficult times during this rehab where he thought he might quit. But at the end of the day, he's now taking better care of himself as a football player. In the past, he would only go in the hot tub or the cold tub if he was sore. Today, he goes in before and after every practice, taking better care of himself as a football player. I think he's learned a lot from this experience. It doesn't look like it's really affecting his play level very much.
Not yet, but one thing I don't like is seeing a knee brace. Coming from somebody who's torn a ligament in your knee, you want to get that off as fast as possible because it doesn't allow you to move like you want to. But obviously, he's moving fine now.
Working on the tape or the trainers, but that could be nothing more than a little maintenance to make it more comfortable. Connor Shaw on 2nd and 3. Shaw dumps it off. Lattimore effective out of the backfield. Marcus still on his feet, breaks a couple of tackles and gets down just inside the 11-yard line, and that'll be enough for a South Carolina first down.
You talk about how completive he is as a running back and his ability catching a football. He plays with the same low pad level when he catches a pass as he does when he receives a handoff. Watch after he gets this ball. Turns around north-south right away. Look how low he gets to the ground with that pad level. Very tough to bring down.
1st and 10. Deep in Vanderbilt territory. Lattimore stumbled just a bit, but still a good surge from the Gamecock offensive line as South Carolina is threatening to go up by 2 touchdowns.
I think the best red zone offenses in college football, guys, are the ones that can run the football when the defense knows you're going to run it. And last year, they were excellent at scoring touchdowns in this area of the field. 76% of their red zone drives, they score touchdowns in large part because of Marcus Lattimore, the other running backs late in the season, and of course Connor Shaw running the football.
And also because Steve doesn't like to kick field goals.
No, he doesn't. But he wants to throw touchdowns, Reese.
2nd and 7. Shaw has a chance to do that, and it's knocked away. Great closing by Andre Howe as Bruce Ellington looked as if he had a chance for a touchdown grab, and Howe closed the gap and knocked it away.
And again, Connor Shaw makes the right decision, but he's got to put the zip on the football. And you see the out route. It's broken perfectly, but now you got to throw the ball towards the sideline so only your receiver can make a play. You can't let it hang up there. Bruce Ellington doesn't have a chance to make a play on the football. He's got to put more zip on it.
Connor Shaw has to play with better timing right now. And that's something Steve Spurrier told us had been lacking. He wants him to improve on. Get the ball out on time.
Very important defensive play for Vanderbilt. Holding South Carolina to a field goal would be a victory. Low snap. Shaw takes a broken play. He's hit short of the first down. It'll bring up 4th down. And where the officials are coming in, it looks as if it would be about 2 yards or so away. And this play was messed up from the start by the snap between T.J. Johnson and Connor Shaw.
You wouldn't expect that from T.J. Johnson. He's a guy that started 40 straight games. Lots of experience. He needs to execute that snap. As you said, Reese, Steve Spurrier does not like to kick field goals, and he's going for it here on 4th down.
And his defense has had a good rhythm too, but 4th and 2, Gamecocks trying to punch it in and go up by 2 touchdowns.
Watch for the option up top here with Marcus Lattimore. Try to get the edge.
The play clock was getting on top of him too, and the coaches noticed it on the sideline, so Spurrier will spend a timeout. And get set exactly what they want to run on this 4th down and 2. Let's take a look at this last play, guys.
And that's 2 plays in a row. You have a bad snap. I mean, you don't give Connor Shaw the ability to even look down the field. And then he makes something out of nothing.
Guys,
he might have been on the ground.
Is it down? Yeah, you know, when I saw that live, I'd wondered.
He has to grab it. Remember, he has to have full possession before he stands up.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the run is one thing we need to monitor too. If you're Vandy and you're a defensive player and you got a scrambling quarterback, don't let him throw by hitting him in the shoulder. Keep whacking him and hitting him as hard as you can every single opportunity you have. You don't want to take those kind of shots if you're Connor Shaw consistently. You're not going to survive an SEC season.
Spoken like a true defensive end.
Get a piece, baby. Get a piece.
We'll see more teams from the SEC this weekend, including the Auburn Tigers as they go to Atlanta. The Chick-fil-A kickoff game to take on Clemson. No Sammy Watkins in that game. He's suspended in the early part of the season for Dabo Swinney. Clemson and Auburn, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. You can see it on Watch ESPN as well. So South Carolina has changed courses, and now they've sent the field goal unit out. And the officials are coming over, perhaps to look and see if Connor Shaw's knee was down, and if this field goal attempt conceivably could be a little bit.
Remember, the ruling on the field was that he was not down. You need indisputable video evidence here. I don't think he has.
Yeah.
It's down before he actually scooped the football up and had full possession, as Davey mentioned earlier. I don't think this should count as him being down.
What do you think, Dave?
I agree. I mean, you have to possess it, and you look at it right here.
Okay, knees down.
Doesn't have the
one
football.
hand on the football is not possessing it. When he lifts his knee up now you got 2 hands on the football, you possess
close.
it. But what do they call it on the field?
Yeah,
They don't want to overturn themselves.
And yeah, that's in the early part of the season a good time to remind everybody the video evidence has to be indisputable, otherwise the call on the field stands. We've had one call earlier tonight that was confirmed by replay. This one's a bang-bang play.
I'm going to say, guys, if this does not get overturned and they do have possession of the football, where are they? On the 3-yard line?
Right now, yes. And can
But
get a first down.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think if I'm Steve Spurrier, I run it. My dominant physical offensive line, the way we've been running now in the last 2 drives.
And the reason I wouldn't go for it is because I feel pretty certain about my defense. I put them in a bad position twice, and they've bailed me out. I don't feel like they're going to sting me, so I'll take my 2-possession lead.
Is it the worst? Is it the worst situation though if your defense has to start a drive from the opposition's 2?
No, but you're not getting points. I want to get my points.
I think you can put them away right now.
They're going to kick the field
nail
goal.
in the coffin already?
20 yards out for Adam Yates, his 5th year in the program. Only a kickoff specialist previously, so Yates gets a chance to kick the field goals this year, and he puts through the first one of his career. And South Carolina has to settle for 3, but they've extended the lead against the Commodores to 10-0. Doors will have it when you come back.
Back to Nashville momentarily. Sports Center right now, brought to you by Coors Light. Andy Roddick, who turned 30 today, said that when the U.S. Open ends for him, his career will as well. Said, I feel like it's time. You can see him tomorrow night on ESPN 2, beg your pardon, at 7 Eastern. We don't have 10 just yet. Davey Johnson says Steven Strasburg's probably got 2 or 3 more starts. Then they're going to shut him down. The Nationals continue to lead the Braves in the National League East. Back to Reese and the boys in Nashville.
Well, Scotty, South Carolina has 10. Marcus Lattimore has the only touchdown of the night. Gamecocks just added a field goal. Vanderbilt about to receive the kickoff. Important time for the Commodores, who were threatening to take the lead at a turnover at the South Carolina 5, an interception run back to midfield that led to the Lattimore touchdown. Now a short kickoff, and again, to remind you, kickoffs coming from the 35 this year, muffed by Andre Howe, and Clark was there to jump on it for Vanderbilt and avoid absolute disaster, assuming that Clark was able to hold it at the bottom of the pile, and I believe he did. That could have been catastrophic for the Commodores.
It looked like the returner was a little bit late running up for this. I think a lot of returners now, with the kickoff being at the 35, are expecting the opposition to kick it out of bounds, so he kind of got caught by surprise. That was almost, you're right, Reese, catastrophic, giving the football back to South Carolina inside your own 25.
Coach Franklin's got to rein these boys in now. I mean, you've had some opportunities that you hadn't cashed in on. South Carolina's taking advantage of it right away. They got to get some first downs, exhale a little bit, get something going.
Jordan Rogers on his 24th birthday, and that's not really the present he wanted. Bryson Williams, I should say, down with the third sack of the night for the Gamecocks as we check in with Samantha Steele.
Reese, this Vandy O-line had their first break on that long last drive, but the beginning of the game, every time they came off the field, they were absolutely gassed with all those turnovers. Their O-line coach, Herb Hand, said to the guys, did you think this was going to be easy? They do not respect you. They expected to just run it right at you. And guys, they're having a hard time here tonight, but at least now they got a little bit of a break.
They need to get a little push right now, Sam. 2nd and 12. Brian Kimbrough, the freshman, is checked in at running back for Jordan Rogers. Rogers down the middle. It's complete. Jordan Matthews into the open field. Does he have enough speed? You bet he does. And the team that led the SEC in 40-yard plays last year strikes for a big one. "78 yards on the touchdown grab, and just like that, the Commodores are back in it. That was more along the lines of the birthday present that Jordan Rogers was hoping for. Carey Spear on to make it a 3-point game. Spear puts it through, and how quickly momentum can shift. Vanderbilt looked a little down in the mouth, and James Franklin keeps preaching. Not the same old Vanderbilt. Jordan Matthews off and running. Commodores on the board. And ball coach doesn't want to see that anymore.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Wrangler. Nothing beats Wrangler comfort. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans. Ally Bank. No nonsense, just people sense. And Verizon Share Everything. It's the plan that revolves around you. Only from Verizon.
Nashville is the Music City, and this is the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. It's the largest popular music museum in the world. More than 1 million artifacts, including the King, Elvis's solid gold Cadillac.
You drive a gold Cadillac, don't you, Reese?
Well, you know, I am a man of dignity and prestige, and I do enjoy the finer things in life, my friend.
Plus your coiffure is always in order.
My coiffure is always in order. I don't know what to think of a man who won't keep his coiffure in order. Steve Spurrier's defense was not in order on that last play. Kickoff goes into the end zone, and with the new rule, it will come out and touchback to the 25. A 78-yard touchdown strike that really shouldn't have been, David.
Oh, I'd like to tell you Jordan Rogers made the perfect throw, but watch this. Watch Bryson Williams, number 12, right there. Look at the safety. He's got to come up and absolutely decleat Jordan Matthews and make SportsCenter top 10 as one of the blow-up collisions of this college football weekend, but he waits and tries to catch the football. At most, that's a 20-something yard gain, and because he doesn't adjust to the football, Matthews takes it to the crib.
I do give credit to Jordan Matthews, though, for going up fearlessly, was not afraid of contact. At 6'3", plucked the football out of the air and took it to the house. Tremendous, tremendous confidence by him. And I think it was a great throw by Jordan Rogers.
Kenny Miles checked in at running back, and Kenny has the football. Steve Spurrier said we'd see some of him. Short gain on first down as we check in with Scott Van Pelt.
Reese Davis, we all know, is a Dapper Dan man. This Dr. Pepper 10 conference update. It's UCLA. It's Brett Hundley. It's his first snap, the redshirt freshman. See ya. On the road at Rice, 72 yards for a touchdown. They missed their first 2 extra points, Reese. Sad to say, this, despite the 19, UCLA at the moment not sound in the kicking game.
You have to be sound in the kicking game. Put it through. One job. That's what all you players say, right? 2nd down and 7 for Connor Shaw. Now he's feeling a little heat, directing some traffic. He's going to take a shot down the field. It's broken up. D.L. Moore wanted a flag, but Kenny Ladler, who had an interception earlier tonight, is there on the coverage.
And that's where South Carolina really misses Alshon Jeffrey. How many times last year does Alshon Jeffrey make this catch? Now, Connor Shaw does a great job buying time. This is good scramble rules right here by D.L. Moore. Connor Shaw's got to give him a chance, though. D.L. Moore's 6'5", put some air under it. You see D.L. Moore asking for it. Let me go up and high point the football. Connor wants a flag. He's not going to get it.
3 passes that he's had incomplete or intercepted have been underthrows. He's got to give his receiver more time. He's got to put more air underneath.
Play clock up against Connor Shaw on a 3rd and 7. Not sure he's going to get it off. I don't believe he did. In fact, he did not.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
A near capacity crowd here at Vanderbilt Stadium. They've been looking for a little energy, and with the touchdown and now the defense with South Carolina and 3rd and long, you're starting to feel a surge from the
Getting
crowd.
a little bit of momentum now behind them. You see James Franklin trying to get the crowd pumped up. This has been a great defensive series so far for Vanderbilt after scoring that touchdown, trying to give the ball back to their offense with good field position. You got to contain Connor Shaw here, though. Keep him in the pocket. Don't let him get outside.
See how much they trust him to throw it down the field again, too, if you don't screen or draw.
Pressure. Shaw sacked. Ladler again, and what a first half. The free safety has had a kid from Stone Mountain, Georgia, has an interception and now a sack, and he forces Spurrier's team to punt it away.
This is a Vanderbilt defense that is going to bring a lot of pressure. Defensive coordinator Bob Shoop, his saying is never-ending pressure all game long, and you see them, they bring it off the edge with Kenny Ladler. Too much speed, misses the first time, but tremendous effort getting back up on his feet, able to make the sack.
And Shaw's eyes never bounce back upfield either, not once.
Zach Stacy back to receive the punt for the Commodores. Stacy looking for running room. Gets into South Carolina territory, and Vanderbilt will have excellent field position after scoring with a big play on the last strike, a 42-yard punt, a 15-yard return sets up Jordan Rogers and company. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Atlanta this weekend on Sunday. Coverage starting at 6:30 Eastern Time. This is the next to last race before the chase for the Cup. Greg Biffle leading the way in the points. Drivers outside the top 10 fighting for those 2 wild card positions. Guys like Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, and Jeff Gordon all in that mix. You can see it Sunday, 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. I'll watch ESPN. That app is fantastic too, so check that out on your tablet. Jordan Rogers back to work. Lots of time. Perhaps seeing some ghosts, looking for pressure. Now throwing it in the middle of the field. That's dangerous, but it works. He's got Grady. Josh Grady inside the 20-yard line and down at the 15. Shaq Wilson perhaps saved the score. That will not be the wisest play that Jordan Rogers will ever make, but it worked out for the Doors. 31 yards.
That's one of those James Franklin's going, no. Yes, great pass down the field. But you know what I like about it, too? This last play, they go spread. They bring 4 wide receivers on the field. They feel a little bit more confident in the passing game. Give Jordan Rogers a chance to air it out. Now, that was ugly.
Advised.
Ugly.
That's the second time tonight.
But that went for 40 yards.
He got intercepted the first time in the red zone. You got to grab him on the side and say, dude, stop doing that.
The freshman Brian Kimbrough, he's lightning quick. One of the top running backs in the country coming out of high school last year. A big get in recruiting for James Franklin. 4-star guy that some say the fastest running back. He's a smaller guy, but flat out foot speed, maybe the fastest running back in this class.
I like them getting into the game early. He only has a small package. of plays in this game. He's only a true freshman. Don't expect to see him play too many snaps.
He is a small package. He's about 160 pounds.
Oh, and he's effective, though, at that speed.
2nd down and 6 as Stacy has returned. Vanderbilt with the ball at the South Carolina 11. Option look for Jordan Rogers. Rogers inside the 10, and he is knocked down there. Jimmy Legree finishing up Bryson Williams, who had the miscue on the touchdown pass a moment ago, also in on the stop. As you see, the new turf here at Vanderbilt and the little rubber pellets making their way into the face of the players. Jordan Rogers, the face full of the new turf. And the overhaul here at Vanderbilt has been very impressive. The new Jumbotron, the Samantha Steele mentioned off the top, and the new turf here. And Vanderbilt players feel as if they have a first-class facility, and on 3rd and 3, if they could punch in a touchdown, they'd have a lead on the 9th-ranked team in the country.
A size mismatch at the top of the screen with receiver Chris Boyd.
Rogers not looking that way yet. Now he is, and throws it a little hot and a little high for Boyd, and it'll be 4th down.
At times, the game can get fast for Jordan Rogers, and it's important that he remembers to keep his feet underneath him and get through his progressions. That's what happens when you've been sacked once or twice and you've been hurried. Your clock starts speeding up. You don't think you have as much time as you actually do. He had an opportunity there to turn his shoulder and make an accurate throw. That would have been a touchdown.
And he's put some hot sauce on several of these passes, too. I mean, that's coming in. It looks like a drop, but it's not. They just want to use the Jumbotron again, Reese, so they're going to kick a field goal right here.
25 yards for Casey Spear, 4 of 7 last year. Not a lot of range for Spear. This is obviously well within it. And Spear puts it up, puts it through. It's been exciting. We've had some miscues, and with 6:51 left in the half, let's start it over. All tied up at 10. Maybe as big a roar as you'll hear all night. This is the Goodlettsville, Tennessee Little League team that won the USA Championship. Goodlettsville is about 14 miles away from Nashville. James Franklin giving them a little high five. The Vanderbilt baseball coach Tim Corbin out there with him as well. They won that crazy game against the California team, 24-16, after letting a 10-run lead get away in the 6th inning. Went on to the World Championship game where they lost to Japan 12-2. But what a thrilling ride for these young men, and a great moment and a source of pride for all of the people here in the Mid-South area. Here is that game against California that ended up going to extra innings, tied at 15. After the team from Tennessee thought they had things all sewn up. A little power surge in the 7th. Jason Brown with his 3rd home run, and Goodlettsville became the United States champions. Great run and memories that'll last a lifetime for those young men, and not a bad thing to be able to come out here in front of 40,000 or so tonight.
That is such a cool experience. I played Little League Baseball, I'm assuming we all did. That was just your one dream as a Little Leaguer, was to one day get to the Little League World Series. What a cool experience.
I thought that was a football score. That wasn't football? That was baseball.
I know
you think. Home run derby.
You think there's only one sport, I know. Well, you know what?
Baseball's definitely not one of those sports.
I know it. For you.
Little League's pretty solid, though. I'll watch Little League.
It's better beyond that. If I don't say that, I'm not going to be able to go home. South Carolina and Vanderbilt tied at 10. Commodores awakening after falling behind 10-0. Now see if South Carolina can get something going. Another kick goes into the end zone, and South Carolina will take the touchback. They'll start on the 25 as we go back to the studio in Scott Van Pelt.
Reese out in Salt Lake City, a newspaper asked the question, do you still believe in Jordan Wynn? Jordan Wynn here, Jake Murphy early on, beautiful catch in the end zone. The Utes out early by 7.
And Scott, in early October, we're going to be in Salt Lake City to see Utah on a Thursday night against the Southern California Trojans.
The last time USC played on a Thursday night, they were the #1 team in the nation. They went on the road at Corvallis at Oregon State with Mark Sanchez, a quarterback, got upset. That's going to be a big-time game with some national significance, I think, too, David.
And if you're a Utah fan, you're just happy to score points. You didn't get a lot of those last year. Jordan Wynn, obviously being healthy, helped that offense score some points.
John White in the backfield, got a very good defensive line, led by Star Lotulelei and the Kruger brothers. We've got plenty to go in the SEC here tonight. Look at the dominance by Vanderbilt in the second quarter. Marcus Lattimore, who has South Carolina's touchdown, gets up to the 30-yard line, pickup of about 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
I think right now we're seeing that new attitude on Vanderbilt that James Franklin has brought here. About believing you can win. They got down in a hole 10-0 very early in this game. I think Vanderbilt teams of old fold right away at that situation, but they fought back, created turnovers on defense, and the offense starting to get its rhythm going. Here we are, tied 10-all, a confident, resurgent Vanderbilt team here early.
Shaw eludes the pressure. Shaw's going to have the first down, still on his feet, and gets up to about the 40-yard line. He's dragged down by Eric Samuels.
And Shaw hasn't had a ton of time when he's been back there either. And this is a great job by the Vanderbilt front four, getting pressure on. They're not blitzing, they're just bringing pressure right up the gut. Great job. You see Rob Lohr, who's a really, really good defensive tackle in the SEC, all SEC type caliber, get in there right away. The question mark for the South Carolina offense is going to be their offensive line all year, and they've got to be able to hold up when just four defensive guys rush the passer.
The face of Archibald Barnes being counted on to provide leadership for the Vanderbilt defense. 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. Lattimore. Another good pickup from Marcus, who's been averaging about 6 yards per carry. Picks up a little over 5.
Well, Davey, to your point, Vandy is not very big on the defensive line. They have to be active. They only weigh, again, 269 pounds per player. They're not the big physical D-lines we see around the SEC like LSU, Alabama, Georgia, or Florida. They're not just going to push linemen back into the pocket. They're active. They stunt the loop to try to create seams. It's been working tonight.
Lattimore. It'll be 3rd down for the Gamecocks.
And I like South Carolina right here, keeping the football on the ground early in this drive. Plenty of time, just under 5 minutes to go now in the half. You can control this football all the way down, potentially get the final score here of the half, going with the lead, but rely on Marcus Lattimore, rely on Connor Shaw to continue moving the sticks. Do what you're best at, running the football.
Shaw facing a 3rd down and 3. Only one guy split out. To the bottom of the screen, and Ace Sanders. They'll run it left with Lattimore. Marcus hitting the backfield and stopped short of the first down. Javon Marshall. It'll be 4th down for South Carolina.
And we talk about Marcus Lattimore being back, and then you see a pitch to the outside. Maybe a year ago, when he's healthy, does he outrun the safety right here? I mean, Marshall does a great job coming from the inside out and catching him, but is that Marcus Lattimore at 100% strength? I think you got to ask that question.
No sign of the punt team, guys.
Yeah, I don't think Marcus Lattimore has ever been a burner in the first place.
4th down and 1. Spurrier going for it. Now the play clock is on Shaw. Will they try to draw him off? Will they use a timeout? No, they get the play off. Rough on the exchange, but Lattimore was able to get the handle and get it into Vanderbilt territory and pick up the first down. That wasn't smooth in the backfield.
Not a very good exchange between Connor Shaw and Marcus Lattimore. And listen, that's another product of not having your starting tailback healthy 100%. It wasn't a great snap again by TJ
give some blame
Johnson.
to TJ Johnson
there. Kind of ruining the timing of that.
Yeah, he messed up the timing with the high snap.
But guys, lots of confidence by Steve Spurrier there. In your own end at the end of a half tie game, trying to run the football like that from the shotgun on 4th and short.
Headed toward 3 minutes to go in the half. Pressure on Shaw. Steps up. He'll pick up 2 or 3 on 1st down.
And that's
Shaw's a little slow getting up, and
Spurrier talked about that the other day with us. Remember?
And he's going to have to come out of the game. The backup for South Carolina is Dylan Thompson. Thompson threw only 2 passes last year. He did complete both of them. Solidified his hold on the job in the spring and fall camp behind Connor Shaw, but this
he's in pain.
This could be disastrous for the South Carolina offense, at least in terms of experience. So Dylan Thompson in a quarterback on 2nd and 8, 2.5 to go in the first half. Spurrier sending him out to run immediately, and Thompson takes a hit short of the 40-yard line. He'll be short of the first down. It'll be 3rd down. You see Connor Shaw on the sidelines. Here's what happened.
Connor Shaw has to change his running style with respect that when the play's over, he's got to slide. And Spurrier likes him sliding head first. He actually teaches him to do that. Right here, he slides on top of his throwing shoulder. He took some contact after that, guys. You know, he gained 15 pounds this offseason, anticipating more of a workload running the football, but more often than not, he's got to do a better job getting down, keeping himself safe.
3rd down and 3. Thompson throwing, and it's incomplete, in and out of the hands of Bruce Ellington, the 2-sport star for South Carolina, also the star on the basketball team, and he couldn't hold on. It'll be 4th down. Now, will Spurrier go for it with the young quarterback? No, the punt team is
I think this makes the decision a little bit easier. I mean, now you've got a guy like Connor Shaw who's got all the first-team reps. He's got the timing down with his receivers, and you just come off the pine. Dylan Thompson has to come off the pine cold and try to make throws. And Jesse, you know about being yanked by Spurrier every other possession. You know what that feels like.
Hey, I'll tell you what, at least the offense looked the same if I came out or I came back in. The offense for South Carolina looks drastically different now without Connor Shaw playing under center.
He's been such a big part of the running game, and again, the play clock getting deep, and timeout signaled. Although I'm not sure a delay of game penalty would have been so bad in that situation. Although there is a flag down. With 1:43 remaining in the half.
False start. Offense number 20. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
That probably just gives the punter, Tyler Hull, a little bit more room to punt. As Connor Shaw, 3 for 6, 23 yards. Much more effective as a runner tonight, though that's how he was hurt. Headed to the locker room before halftime. And 10-10 game. The number 9 team in the country tied up with Vanderbilt on the road. Starting quarterback goes to the locker room early. Talked about how relaxed Steve Spurrier had been. This can change things. Hull had it hit the ground inside the 5, but it bounced into the end zone. And we talked tonight about the kickoffs touchbacks go to the 25. All of the touchbacks just come to the 20. So with 1:36 left in the half, that's where Vanderbilt will have it when you come back.
Vanderbilt and South Carolina all tied up at 10, but a huge blow to the South Carolina offense right now. Connor Shaw came off the field completely stationary, right arm. His right shoulder is being worked on by trainers right now. They just went behind the wall. Can't see much, guys, but when he was coming off the field and walking behind the wall, completely in pain, wincing, very emotional right now. That's not a good sign.
Indeed, it's not, Sam. Steve Spurrier, not a lot of experience behind. As you see the quarterbacks, Coach G.A. Mangus talking to Dylan Thompson and Zach Stacy breaking into the secondary, and he's going to pick up about 17 yards. And with just under 90 seconds to go in the half, now Vanderbilt with that gain has a chance to take a shot.
I think James Franklin's going to be aggressive. He has already early in this game. He went for it on 4th down on their opening drive. Give Zach Stacy the football. He got 2 timeouts.
Rogers to Matthews. Matthews gets out of bounds.
And I also think if you don't get 15 yards on that play, obviously it changes your thought process because you're looking at maybe a backup the rest of the game on the other side of the ball. You were down 10-0. It's not like you moved the ball. You had a couple of fortuitous plays go your way down the field. So I think how much do you trust Jordan Rogers? And because you can still hang in there and compete. I don't necessarily think you have to air it out and maybe make a bad play.
As a quarterback, I love this 2-minute offense. Take your shot. Certainly they have the momentum right now anyway. You could take the lead at halftime. Wow.
They'll keep it on the ground with Zach Stacy. Now it'll be 3rd down and long with just over a minute to go. Let's see what Franklin's plan is right now as we check in quickly in the studio.
Reese coming up on the Land Rover halftime report coming up Saturday in State College, Pennsylvania. The Nittany Lions will play Ohio. That'll be the same as a lot of Saturdays. A lot else will be different. Mark Schwartz with the report from there. Highlights from all around the country. We'll see at the half. We're going to be tied at 10 or not.
I'm not sure. Scotty Rogers and Matthews just hooked up on a little swing, a little wide receiver screen, and he got out of bounds to pick up a 22 on 3rd and 7. And now Vanderbilt has it inside the South Carolina 40-yard line. And Franklin has an opportunity to grab that lead with 52 seconds remaining in the half.
Jordan Matthews made so many plays this past fall camp. The coaching staff had to find ways to get him involved, and they've gotten him going so far in this first half. He caught the long touchdown. Big play here.
Wesley Tate. He is knocked down by Shaq Wilson. Pickup of about 3. Vanderbilt with 2 timeouts remaining. Inside 45 seconds to go. They're in hurry-up mode. Clock still running. Got the snap off. Rogers firing toward the sidelines. Matthews catches it, steps out of bounds to stop the clock with half a minute to go in the half.
Wonder about the conditioning right now of South Carolina's defense. They were very slow getting to the line of scrimmage. Right now, a lot of these defensive linemen, including Jadeveon Clowney, Devin Taylor, some of these other guys, hands on the hips, they look absolutely gassed. They're going to have to get a second wind right here, backs to the wall.
And everything in the passing game with Jordan Rogers right now is quick game. They're not letting him throw down the field, but yeah, you see the hands on the hips right there by Clowney? He's like, man, I'm not playing 50% of the snaps anymore. This is a little harder.
What he did as a freshman last year. First order of business for Vanderbilt, get the first down. Then we'll see if they can take shots at the end zone. 3rd and 4. Rogers in trouble. And Jordan moves to play another down. Shaq Wilson had that one sniffed out. It'll be 4th down. Long-range field goals, not Vanderbilt's strong suit. Didn't have one longer than 37 yards a year ago. This one more in the 49 to 50 range, so Franklin's letting it wind down, and he'll call a timeout. 5 seconds remaining in the half. So we'll see what Franklin's decision is. Will he try the long field goal or throw one deep? 10-10 when you come back. James Franklin has sent his field goal unit onto the field. Casey Spear is 4 of 7 kicking field goals last year. He has one tonight. Nothing longer than 37 yards. But my kicking scout tells me that Spear has a very strong leg, has the range, just not necessarily the experience from this distance, at least not in college. 49 yards on the attempt from Casey Spear. Let's see how sharp our spotter Mike Black is on kickers. And a flag, and Spear booted it, but the whistle had sounded, so it was all for naught, the cheer that went up from the stands.
I wonder if that wasn't offside by South Carolina.
If it was, that will help Spear, because based on that last kick, I don't think 54 is in the
Prior
cards.
to the snap, false start, 77 offense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Please reset the game clock to 5 seconds.
So the false start will move it back, and now it'll be a 54-yard attempt for Spear, and he'll have to get a little more oomph into it this time.
So there's a flinch up front by Jadeveon Clowney.
But he didn't get into the neutral zone. He's got to get into the neutral zone, and then the offense can jump offside. You could have called that either way, but now you decide
I thought he was in the neutral zone right there.
Now you got to decide whether you want to take a shot, because he didn't. I mean, unless he ate some Wheaties right then in that. I mean, right then that little bit of time.
He's pulled the kicker off the field. Yeah, they've pulled the kicker off the field now, and the offensive unit is back.
Now, if you're a defensive end right now, Dave, you know this.
Don't let him
South
outside
Carolina,
the pocket.
You got to expect Jordan Rogers is going to buy time and scramble and get outside. So you got to take a very wide pass rush, really set that edge. These are not two guys easy to get outside of. One's 6'8", one's 6'6", long arms. See if Jordan Rogers can get outside by the time to give him a chance.
And Vanderbilt does have tall wide receivers in jump ball situation, and now another timeout will be used. Vanderbilt will use its final timeout of the half. A false start penalty did away with our field goal attempt, and celebrating its 8th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.6 million in scholarship money. You know, as we look ahead to the second half, guys, and what South Carolina will do if Connor Shaw is unavailable, who left a short while ago with an apparent injury to his right shoulder, his throwing shoulder. One thing we might see more of from Steve Spurrier is Bruce Ellington in the Wildcat. The wide receiver was a high school quarterback and a dynamic guy, and he ran some Wildcat last year for him.
Yeah, he sure did. He had that type of athlete. I would anticipate this offense to look a lot more traditional, like some of the fun and gun offenses we've seen in years past. They got to continue running the football, but now you lose the threat of a running quarterback, and that changes everything.
So presumably the last play of the first half, Jordan Rogers trying to buy a little time, and he does. Can he get the pass off? And it's knocked down a strip. The ball's loose, and South Carolina's just going to fall on it, and that's how the half will end. Chaz Sutton able to get his hand wrapped around it, and that'll end an exciting first half, a mistake-filled first half that you'll see occasionally on opening night. 10-10 to score as we check in with Sam Steele.
Coach, you told me pregame you're preparing for bad things to happen. What can you tell me about Connor Shaw's injury?
Well, I thought he just sort of dove on the ground. They sort of fell on him, but I guess they fell on his shoulder a little bit. But the doctors are going to look at it at halftime. Yeah, we're not throwing the ball very well, and we're running decent. But yeah, Vandy's a good team. They're playing tough.
If he can't go in the second, how does it change your offense with Austin
Well,
out
Dylan
there?
just goes play. Dylan Thompson, he's next in line.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Spurrier will find out what his quarterback situation is at halftime. South Carolina in the preseason top 10 for the first time in school history, and in a fight with Vanderbilt, tied at 10 as we go to the Land Rover halftime report.
This is Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
Back in Nashville at Vanderbilt Stadium, just about set to start the second half. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Vanderbilt hosting South Carolina. Commodores and Gamecocks tied at 10. That is Dylan Thompson, the backup quarterback for South Carolina, who we presume is going to play most of the second half after the injury to Connor Shaw. Just a few moments ago, we saw Shaw walk to the door of the locker room and then turn back around. He has not returned to the field. Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, David Pollack. If no Connor Shaw, how does it impact the Gamecocks?
The offense looks very different then. You lose the threat of a running quarterback. It's going to be much more conventional. I would expect Steve Spurrier to dial up the quick passing game, getting the football in the hands of receivers like Ace Sanders, Bruce Ellington, Demir Bird. Let them make plays in space.
And the one thing you can say about South Carolina from a year ago, with that man going down, Marcus Lattimore, Steven Garcia at the quarterback spot, kind of a carousel that they had. They've dealt with this adversity. Now they got to deal with it with Connor Shaw. The offense might look a little bit different, but you still got plenty of players that have to step up and make plays.
Vanderbilt kicks off to start the second half. The touchback under the new rule will bring it out to the 25-yard line. And Dylan Thompson, a sophomore from Boiling Springs, South Carolina, will get the call in the second half. He threw 2 passes last year, completed both of them. Actually got in last year against Vanderbilt in relief of Connor Shaw, who came in after Spurrier yanked Steven Garcia when he had thrown 4 interceptions. But Thompson was not a highly recruited player coming out of high school. Threw for 1,300 yards, ran for another 500, accounted for 21 touchdowns in 6 games as a junior. He went on as a senior. He's a little banged up. Basketball player as well, so he's a good, solid athlete. But this in the limelight, trying to quarterback the 9th-ranked team in the country, get them off to a winning start in conference play on the road against Vanderbilt. The first play of the second half will come from the 25. Wasting no time letting Thompson throw it, and he'll throw incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10 as we check in with Samantha Steele.
Yeah, guys, Connor Shaw came out at halftime without pads on, threw about 10-yard balls on the field, didn't seem to have any problems, went back inside, put his pads on, looked like he was coming to play, and as soon as he came out, tried to make full range of motion with that right arm, made a terrible face, was obviously in pain, went back into the locker room, still being evaluated by doctors, but guys, he keeps peeking out over here, trying to get a look at what's going on.
All right, Sam, I know Sam will keep an eye on it, and we'll see if Shaw is able to come back. Second pass of the second half from Dylan Thompson goes incomplete. He was looking for his tight end, Justice Cunningham. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Well, I can tell you, having played for Steve Spurrier, he's going to allow Dylan Thompson to throw the football. He's not going to shy away from pushing the football downfield. He has never cared who his quarterback is, if it's a freshman, if it's a walk-on. He's going to run the offense. He's going to give him a chance to operate in this offense. And right now, Davey, they got to find balance somehow. They were awful throwing it in the first half.
And that's great. I understand you want to have confidence in your backup quarterback, but I also have Marcus Lattimore. So I want to try to make sure that I stick to what got me here. It ain't like Connor Shaw was setting the world on fire throwing the football.
Freshman Mike Davis in motion. Thompson, a lot of heat. Escapes 1 and 2, but not number 3. And Eric Samuels was there to finish it off. Chase Garnham was back there applying the heat. A sack for the Commodores, and Vanderbilt should get great field position for their first possession of the second half.
We talked in the first half how active this Vanderbilt defensive line is. So many guys stunting and looping, moving around. They're blitzing linebackers, making it very hard for the South Carolina offensive linemen to pick them up, trying to set up a screen outside on that play. Too much speed inside, another big sack.
Tyler Hall punted away, high, short kick. Zach Stacy clearing everybody away from it. Ball is rolling. With a stop just over the 50-yard line. So Vanderbilt will take over at its own 49, tied at 10. So you mentioned that you want to get Dylan Thompson started, but I think David makes a great point. I mean, they say Marcus Lattimore's ready to carry the load, and you would think that would be a time you'd want to at least let him touch it once in the first series, wouldn't you?
I think so, and I think Steve Spurrier also anticipating that the defense smells blood in the water. They're going to start loading the box to stop Marcus Lattimore. Guys, on that last possession, there were throws to be had. Dylan Thompson threw the first ball into the ground about 6 yards in front of Ace Sanders. The plays are there, but his guy's going to have to execute to get Marcus Lattimore back on track, help him out in the run game.
And ball's on the ground. Jordan Rogers picks it up. And that'll be a loss of about 4 on first down, 2nd and 14.
And what we saw from Vanderbilt early was they didn't even trust the quarterback the first part of the game. They ran the football. Stacy, you saw a bunch of Wesley Tate getting carries. They've really started to open it up. You see right here, Zach Stacy just cuts in front and hits the hand of Rogers. But Rogers has to continue to give the threat of a passing game. South Carolina defense, we know about Taylor, we know about Clowney. Don't let them peel their ears back. Run the ball, but you have to pass it to mix it up.
See, I wonder if James Franklin's not going to play more close to the vest now because he understands the other team's quarterback is out of the game, and now your defense is expecting to dominate. Maybe you're more vanilla.
The freshman Kimbrough. A little guy with the explosive speed. Picks up a couple in the middle of the line. It'll be 3rd and long.
I really think Vanderbilt should come into the second half on offense and say, look, we got to wear down South Carolina defensively. At the end of that half, Jadeveon Clowney, their defensive linemen, they were tired, they were gassed. Let's put our hands in the ground, 3-point stance. Let's come off the ball. Let's wear this defense down.
Your point, Jesse. I'm not sure I would go with a more vanilla play scheme right now. You still have more athletes in white out there than donning the black headgears of the Commodores. We'll see what they do on 3rd and long. A lot of pressure coming. Rogers throws it behind Chris Boyd. It'll be 4th down.
A throw there to be had. Late delivery by Jordan Rogers, wide open receiver. Those opportunities you have to connect on. The game on the line, first game of the season, statement game, the country watching. Big moments. Big time players got to make big plays.
And I like Lorenzo Ward's decision. When you got a mobile quarterback, if he buys time, big plays can happen. 3rd and 12, forget it. We're going to bring a lot of pressure, make him get rid of the football, tackle in space. So I like Lorenzo Ward, South Carolina defense coordinator, dialing up the blitz there.
Vanderbilt to punt it away. Richard Kent's had a good solid night, as you just saw. There's a flag. Now Vanderbilt's counting, see how many they have in the backfield.
Illegal substitution on the offense, 12 men in the formation, 5-yard penalty, still 4th out.
Wasn't so many they had in the backfield with the number they had in the field, but a familiar look for you with being Canadian and all, 12 guys in the formation.
I'm starting to get excited there. I was waiting for the football field to grow as well. Put a stripe on the football.
You guys start
3 downs,
sprinting toward the line of scrimmage before the snap.
Make it easier on the quarterback, brother.
So Vanderbilt, Notre Academic School gets the count right, down to 11, and the punt is beautiful. Ace Sanders takes it inside the 10. Little seam. He almost found a crease, and Sanders took it inside the 10 and got it back out to the 20-yard line before Kenny Landler knocked him down. Dylan Thompson, not a very good series last time. We'll see what the youngster does when you come back.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
I hope you don't plan to get up early in the morning as soon as we're finished with South Carolina and Vanderbilt. The debut of Mike Leach, Washington State's new head coach, going back to BYU where he did his undergrad work. Washington State and BYU coming up next.
He wants to call a pass play right now. Look at him. He can't wait. How many throws tonight for Jeff Toole, Washington State?
I will say 54.
Wow.
Wow. Lots of points. I'm getting ready for lots of points.
And the mind will be clear on all of them. Just react to what you see.
South Carolina needs 54 runs by Marcus Lattimore right now is what they need.
There's one by Dylan Thompson. And Dylan Thompson picks up 9 on first down. The zone read that was very effective for Connor Shaw is now effective for the backup quarterback.
Doesn't necessarily look the same as Connor Shaw, but it's good to know that you have that threat at quarterback for South Carolina, because you can now keep the defense honest. They have to respect your ability to tuck it and run.
And this is a learning experience. I mean, Vanderbilt, defensive coordinators, you have to find out what they do well. And now you know he can run the football, and you're obviously going to take away Lattimore, but let's see what Spurrier decides to do with his quarterback.
Going to take a shot. Pressure coming. Down he goes. Walker May. First time we've called his name tonight. The junior from Birmingham, Alabama. Expecting him to have a breakout year, and breaking his way out of the locker room is Connor Shaw. Now, here's the question. Who has his headgear? He doesn't. They taking it away?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's just coming back out for moral support or if he's actually anticipating potentially coming back in the game.
He's moving his arm better. I mean, you could tell that, but that doesn't mean he's going to be able to sit up and play. Especially if he can't find his helmet.
Well, they've got a little magic back in the locker room.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Help you move that arm better.
Wow, feels better.
3rd and 9. Play clock on top of Thompson again. Flag down. It'll be a delay of game against the Gamecocks.
Oh.
Now Shaw starting to throw the football. And given Thompson's lack of experience, and no disrespect intended to a young man who's done a great job being the backup quarterback, this is the 9th-ranked team in the country. South Carolina has aspirations of winning the East. Their schedule's tougher than Georgia's. Really can't afford to lose this game. And if Shaw can safely go, he has to go.
You got to let him
as simple
play.
as that.
Gives you your best chance of winning, no doubt about it.
Connor throwing with some intensity. We'll see if he can get back on the field, but at the moment, it's Dylan Thompson. And again, the play clock is under 5. This time they get it off. Quarterback draw. Thompson finds a little room, and he goes down short of the 20-yard line. Chase Garnham on the stop, and the Gamecocks will have to punt it away.
I've just been very impressed with how dominant up front. Again, Vanderbilt has been so undersized. You see Connor Shaw here buckling up, getting ready to go. But again, Marcus Lattimore, 1 carry in the last 2 drives now. The best player in your offense hasn't touched the football yet with a backup quarterback in the game.
Wobbly short kick. Zach Stacy comes up and makes the fair catch. At his 46-yard line, and more very good field position for Vanderbilt. We'll see if they can take advantage against this stout South Carolina defense. Now it's time for the trivia question. Zach Stacy, one of 4 players in Vanderbilt history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. Can you name any of the other 3? I can.
You can?
Yes, I can.
Dave and I are looking at each other like, wow, that is an aggressive
You said
question.
any.
Frank Mordecai is
Frank
one.
Mordecai.
That was on the tip of my tongue.
And he was the all-time. He's the all-time leader, right?
He is the all-time leading rusher.
For now, Stacy's going to beat him.
Stacy came into the game needing about 631 yards to pass Mordecai. He'll have a chance to go back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Will Stacy, if he stays healthy. Mordecai was unable to do that after rushing for 1,000 yards. And here the answer. We didn't make you think long on this one. Frank Mordecai in 78, Jermaine Johnson and Corey Harris both doing it in the 90s. Stacy, meanwhile, has it. He's into South Carolina territory and churning inside the 45. It's a first down for the Commodores.
Stacy looks a little bit wobbly, but a good job by Vanderbilt. Get up to the line of scrimmage. Jesse was talking about South Carolina getting a little bit tired, but it's that ankle. Looks like it's bothering him still.
Early season, that was stretch. He may have cramped up a little bit. It's humid here tonight. We did have some rain earlier.
He doesn't look full speed when he's got the football.
He's got ankle tape kind of coming off on that left ankle there. It is a humid night. And again, we've seen the depth of Vanderbilt's rushing attack tonight as well. Wesley Tate's had some carries. We've seen the true freshman Brian Kimbrough. There are other guys that can carry the load. But again, guys, I think maybe the most underrated running back in the country. He's a guy that has to get more touches here in the second half in a tie game.
He's one of those guys that last year when you watched him, he consistently got more yards than was blocked for.
Stacy being attended to as we check in on the field with Samantha Steele. Sam, what do you got on Connor Shaw?
Yeah, bad news for Vandy, good news for South Carolina. Connor Shaw will come back in. I have confirmed that with head athletic trainer Clint Haggart. He did say that he will be back in. It was a shoulder contusion, but as you guys were talking about, sometimes they can do some magic in the locker room. Looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah,
it'll be
little ice,
now.
couple of ibuprofen.
Does magic.
Maybe a little help.
Maybe a little more.
It'll be interesting now to see the play calling from Steve Spurrier. How many times do you allow Connor Shaw to continue running the football? You know, he says he's not a baseball coach. He doesn't put his running backs and his quarterback on a pitch count. They'll carry the football as often as needed to win, but he does say he takes a look at how big the shots are they take. How often will he let Connor Shaw run the football here in the second half?
1st and 10 after the run by Stacy. Wesley Tate is in to spell him. And Tate, who had been moved to wide receiver primarily, but has been the backup to Zach Stacy tonight. We haven't seen Warren Norman yet, who's coming back off an injury. It's not really a surprise. He's still sort of working himself into the shape to play. There's Norman, who was a dynamic kick return man, and in fact was Vanderbilt's leading rusher in 2009 and 2010, missed last year with an injury. We've yet to see him.
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising because he is a guy that you saw a couple years ago. He led the SEC as a freshman, a true freshman in all-purpose yards. Nobody's done that since Herschel Walker. You wonder why you don't see more of him because you know he's dynamic when he gets the ball in his hands.
He had nearly 2,000 all-purpose yards in that year. Rogers firing slant, great. Oh, I was about to say great catch in the hands by Matthews, and then it slipped away from him. Victor Hampton is on the coverage. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Tremendous job of coverage recognition by Jordan Rogers. Knows where his one-on-one is on the outside. And Jordan Matthews has made all the plays in the first half. That's a perfect throw, one that Matthews needs to haul in. That potentially converts and opens up a 1st down. And then if he makes that catch, they're all of a sudden in field goal range, trying to take a lead.
I'll let you have that one. That one was a perfect throw. Some of the other ones we might.
You're a hater, quarterback hater.
And Matthews over 100 yards receiving tonight, his 4th time in his career. See who can get 10 for the Commodores, if anyone. Rogers stepping up, trying to turn the corner. Racing for the 1st down marker, and he's got it. He beat Devontae Holloman around the corner, and now I thought they had the 1st down, but maybe Jordan stepped out just short based on where the ball's being marked. It's being marked just short of the 1st down marker, which would bring up 4th down.
He's going to ask for a measurement here, but Jordan Rogers, you know, South Carolina has to do a better job containing him in the pocket. He's a legit 4.5 40. I mean, you see the speed outrunning this SEC defense outside.
You know what? He's going to have farther to go. I think if they look at that again, look where he steps out of bounds earlier.
Ooh, right there.
Yeah,
it looks like
much earlier than the last spot where it's marked. When they look at this again, I don't think it's going to be an inch to go.
But the reason Vanderbilt's offense picked up last year was when he took over was because of that ability to run the football. And he was a 50% completion passer a year ago. He wasn't sensational whatsoever, but those kind of plays right there, it's a pain in the butt for defenses. You extend it, you make it 4th and short instead of possibly having to punt, and having a mobile quarterback you see in college football makes it so hard. Let's see if his foot did step out.
Not there, but there.
I don't see that.
Yeah,
I think his toe was in.
It may have just been the ball of his foot there. It looked like it was his left foot that potentially stepped out.
If you watch the gymnastics in Olympics, he's solid there down the tightrope.
Well, here you go, guys.
He stayed inside.
Yeah, he was inside.
4th and inches.
Either way, it's working out in Vanderbilt's favor. Couple inches to go. Big 4th down for James Franklin's team. Tied at 10, about halfway through the 3rd quarter with the number 9 team in the country.
You know, I would anticipate them running a quarterback sneak, but he opened up his play card there as if he had to give out a long verbal command.
Maybe they're just going to try to draw them. Long count. No, they snap it. Hit in the backfield. I'm not sure Wesley Tate. He had a second surge. Reginald Bowens was on the hit. The initial surge didn't get it there. Maybe the second effort did, and Matt Austin signals 1st down. That was a tremendous run and effort by Golden Tate's younger brother.
And Zach Stacy's not in the ball game, so he can't carry the physical back. And look at that.
What a
that is
effort.
Great job. Wesley Tate, he's on top of another defender. So remember, he's not down unless a knee or an elbow's down. And he's doing a Coach Ham. He's worming over the pile, man.
Well, this looks like a team that's hungry for this victory. This looks like a team, you know, that wants to make a statement, that expects to win.
Tate picking his way. pushing inside the 30, pickup of a couple. Second and long.
Dave mentioned earlier about this new look offense with Jordan Rodgers and how they found confidence. I really think they found their identity last year when Jordan Rodgers took over.
Up to the line of scrimmage quickly. Rodgers, pump fake, throwing for the end zone. Got a man out there, and he was looking for Jonathan Krause. DJ Swearinger broke it up. It'll be 3rd down and 9.
James Franklin and his coaching staff love taking shots. They were trying to pump fake the wide receiver screen, thinking they could get DJ Swearinger to bite to open up the play for Jonathan Krause over top. And Swearinger, known as a tremendous hitter in the running game, doing a nice job in coverage there. That ball a bit underthrown. He's able to knock that away. Now, if your defense, keep Jordan Rodgers in the pocket. Do not let him get outside, potentially convert this 3rd down.
And Vandy might run the football to try to get some extra position to get the kicker a little bit more. You don't want to see him kick from 50 again.
Rodgers, time now running. He'll be stopped well short of the 1st down. Just outside the 27-yard line. It would make the field goal in the neighborhood of 44 yards.
Still a positive gain, though, in setting up a possible field goal attempt here. I think if that's a throwaway or he gets sacked, obviously you have no chance for the points. Didn't get the 1st down, but he's giving himself and his teammates a chance now to take this lead.
And one of the things we talked about watching Jordan Rodgers last year, first read's not there, second read's not there. He's taking off as fast as he can. You'd like to see him stick with it just a little bit longer. I know he got positive yards, but he needs to keep his eyes down the field just a little bit.
Casey Spear from 44. Well struck. And the Doors have the lead. They're starting to feel it here in Nashville. Number 9 is falling behind. Doors up by 3.
Welcome back to College Football Primetime on ESPN, served by Applebee's.
A great opening weekend we have on ESPN and ABC. The headliner, the Cowboys Classic on ABC. Michigan taking on Alabama. When I was in Ann Arbor during the basketball season, the Wolverine players were talking about this opportunity to prove that they're back. Alabama, the reigning national champion. Most of the offense back for the Crimson Tide, with the notable exception of Trent Richardson. Denard Robinson, Heisman candidate in any situation. Certainly, if he could lead the Wolverines to victory, he'd fall into the Matt Barkley realm.
Well, he's always in the competition in September, Reese. We're always talking about him in September.
But how would things change, David, if he has a big game against Alabama?
Even if they lose, I think even
who
if
has
they
big
lose,
games
but
against
it's
Alabama's
close,
defense?
I think he's got a shot to be in the conversation.
Steven Garcia did, for one.
That was a miracle. Miracle.
South Carolina will have it on the 25 to start this possession. We'll check in with Scott Van Pelt.
RD, don't want to cast aspersions about Rice's defense. They were 111 in the country last year. Not a whole lot of room to get worse, but it appears they might. This is Jonathan Franklin of UCLA, and this is UCLA's 3rd touchdown of more than 70 yards in the first half. The bad news for UCLA, they have had 3 extra points blocked. The good news is they've had a lot of them.
Jim Morrow will be thinking about that waiver wire and then discover there's not one in college football to pick up a kicker. UCLA, debut for Morris. Connor Shaw has returned at quarterback. Marcus Lattimore hit in the backfield. Nothing doing. He'll lose a couple. Rob Lohr back there again for the Doors.
I'm just very curious to see how many times Coach Spurrier will call these zone read type plays with design runs to Marcus Lattimore, and he won't allow Connor Shaw to run. I don't know right now if Steve Spurrier wants to let his injured quarterback take any more shots. I don't know if that's much better than having Dylan Thompson in there if he's not any threat to run it.
And it's his throwing shoulder too, so he's not really that much of a threat to throw it right now. You got to make him prove he can do it. But why is your backup not handing it to Lattimore, and then Shaw comes in and does hand it to Lattimore?
And look at all these bodies close to the line of scrimmage now for Vanderbilt, the black jerseys.
Shaw eludes Garnham. Throws into the middle. Sanders has it. Sanders now dancing backwards, and he's stopped short of the 30. It'll bring up 3rd down and 6. And Archibald Barnes slow to get up on the near side for the Commodores.
And you see Connor Shaw does a great job you see Chase Garnham coming after him, does a great job buying time, getting outside the pocket. Chase Garnham can't let that happen.
Well, I like that Connor Shaw kept his focus downfield to complete that throw. Didn't scramble to run, scrambled to throw. And guys, we're seeing Archibald Barnes down right now. He's a senior, a guy they cannot afford to lose, a guy they're expecting to be a leader on this side of the ball.
We'll check on Barnes' condition. Just over 5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. We talked with Archie yesterday, a delightful guy who said that we asked him, what do you want to use this Vanderbilt education to do? And he said, I want to do what you guys do. I want your job.
He was well spoken. He had a lot of good coachisms.
you called him on it too. He said you got a lot of good coach speak.
He might take our job.
His Lattimore one was great though. He'll break your ankles, pick them up, and take them to the house. That was pretty solid.
And perhaps there are guys who can do it in the Clemson-Auburn game. Ontario McCaleb from the Auburn Tigers as they square off in Atlanta. The Chick-fil-A kickoff game Saturday night on ESPN, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Also watch out for Sharon Peak, who was regarded in the same realm at wide receiver with Sammy Watkins coming out of high school. Watkins dominated last year. He's suspended for this game. Peak's had a very good camp. See how Auburn's able to handle him with the new defensive coordinator, Brian Van Gorder, trying to shore up that Tiger defense.
I really think Clemson's got to be on upset alert in this one. There are a lot of question marks surrounding them. You mentioned Sammy Watkins not playing on defense. New look on a unit with Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator. Last time we saw them, they gave up 70 points in the Orange Bowl to West Virginia, but I love Auburn's choice of Kyle Frazier, quarterback, big physical dual threat runner. It's going to be a good one to watch.
And I love their new defensive coordinator. I played with him at the University of Georgia, Brian Van Gorder. I mean, just a gym rat. Spent 4 years in the NFL. He'll turn them around immediately.
Gamecocks 0 for their last 6 on third down. Need 6 yards here.
Here comes pressure.
Shaw pitches. Hit and dropped short of the first down is Lattimore. Delivering the hit again is Rob Lohr, and Lohr starting to flex his muscle, particularly here in the second half.
I think Connor Shaw, his injury is starting to affect his decision making. He pitched this football really early.
Really fast.
And really fast on this one.
I think that had more to do with Rob Lohr. Good Lord, he ran him down.
He had to hold on to the football longer, really stress the defense off the edge to give Lattimore a chance to get outside.
Jonathan Krause back to return the punt after Zach Stacy was injured in the last series, and Krause catches it securely at his own 37-yard line. The Commodores up by 3. Have the football back when you come back to Nashville.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And Dr. Pepper. Tell the world what makes you one of a kind with the I'm a hashtag on Twitter.
This is Hatch Showprint. It's been operating in Nashville since 1879. They created the opening day poster for the first college football game at Old Dudley Field. The Commodores took on Michigan. Made a nice one that we have up in our booth for us tonight. Has our names on it and everything. More noted in Music City for the Johnny Cash, Loretta Lynn type posters you saw prior to the football one, but that print shop's still opening and producing cool looking work as Zach Stacy has returned for the Doors. Jordan Rogers taking a shot. He's got Matthews again into South Carolina territory to the 41-yard line. 22 yards on the pickup.
Jordan Rogers, again, looked so much more confident early in this season throwing the football as opposed to where he was a year ago. He just knows where to go with his eyes and the reads. There's no hesitation, tremendous fundamentals and mechanics. Those seam throws over the middle of the field are his favorite throws to make, and he's throwing them with a lot of juice and a lot of confidence.
Rogers on his 24th birthday, thrown for 186 yards and a touchdown. A flag comes down, and now a whistle sounds as well.
Prior to the snap, start, 89 offense, 5-yard penalty.
Dylan Vanderwall moving a little quickly, so they'll back up by 5 yards. So going back to your point about Jordan Rogers, both James Franklin and John Donovan, the offensive coordinator, talked about how much more coachable he is this year as opposed to last year. watching film, understanding now what he sees. You've said it a couple of times. The game got fast for him last year.
Yeah, it sure did because of pressure, but he's very, very composed, facing a very good pass rush tonight.
Rogers drops the football, and probably good composure just to fall on it with Jadeveon Clowney closing in. And after the big 22-yard completion to Matthews, the Commodores have thrown it in reverse with a 5-yard penalty and a fumble.
You know, I think another reason Jordan Rogers has been confident is that he's got a tremendous resource to help him in his brother Aaron Rodgers. See, both of these offenses, Green Bay and here, very similar. They use the same terminology. James Franklin was the wide receiver coach for the Packers in 2005. So Jordan Rogers every night calls his brother, and they're speaking the same language, the same dialect, and they're able to kind of bounce ideas off each other, and it's showing so far early in this game.
What's his brother's name again?
I think his name's Aaron. You heard of him?
Yeah.
Jordan Rogers eschews the discount double check down and instead fires it down the field to Matthews, and that puts him into much more reasonable field position as you look at the two Rogers brothers.
If you didn't know their names, they throw exactly the same. You knew they were brothers. The carriage back in the day for Aaron Rodgers was a lot higher, but look how similar their throwing mechanics are. It's just remarkable. You saw another bullet there looking a lot like his older brother on that last pass.
Hey, keep finding Jordan Matthews. I mean, this guy is smooth. He's got a big frame. Him and Rodgers have a good connection. I keep throwing it his way.
Third down. He did throw it his way, but DJ Swearinger was there to stop Matthews before he could get even close to the first down sticks, and it'll be fourth down.
You're kind of in that no man's land right now if you're James Franklin and head coach of Vandy. Is this too far to try to kick a field goal? Do you stay on and try and convert on 4th and short?
That's a tough call, especially with your defense. 3 straight 3-and-outs. You got so much momentum going. Do you want to try to pick up an extra 30 yards by pinning them inside the 10 if you can?
Well, if you hit this now, South Carolina can't tie you with the field goal, so that's the advantage on the scoreboard.
This one, they're saying 51 and a half. Spears will be a career long. He puts it down, and it's not going to make it. South Carolina holds, and with 1:04 remaining in the third quarter, Gamecocks get it back down 3, looking for their initial first down of the second half. The weekend menu brought to you by Applebee's. You know, a game that's been a little bit overlooked is the Boise State-Michigan State game tomorrow night. Both teams are placing a lot of guys. Boise State's replacing everybody. They've got 5 starters back.
Joe Southwick takes over at quarterback for them, facing one of the best defenses in the country for Michigan State. I can't wait to see Le'Veon Bell, all 247 pounds of him, running at a Boise State defense that lost 3 defensive linemen in the NFL draft.
Connor Shaw back in and running not nearly as aggressively as we saw him prior to being injured late in the first half. Javon Marshall wraps him up.
And that's when you have an offense and your quarterback's going to get hit. I mean, this is what you have to deal with. You have to deal with sometimes you're going to bang up a shoulder, he doesn't throw as well. But now you look at him, he ran tentative. I mean, if he's not going to give you 100%, if you can't use his feet to 100%, you've got to look at trying to use something else. He threw it okay to Ace Sanders, but running the football, I'd make him run the football if I'm Vanderbilt every single time.
So Dylan Thompson, who got a couple of series in while they were working on Shaw in the locker room. And inside half minute to play in the third quarter, down 3. Shaw going to have to run it again. And Connor finds the ground just across the 35-yard line. Has 5 possessions for South Carolina. Out of those, only 2 of them have resulted in moving the football forward.
That speaks volumes for the significance that Connor Shaw plays in this offense. Remember, he took over a year ago at the Kentucky game. Marcus Lattimore is going to be lost for the season. They went 7-1 down the stretch because of Connor Shaw. They are a shadow of themselves right now without a 100% healthy quarterback running this offense.
Do we open the season with an upset of a top 10 team? You'll see when the fourth quarter starts. The DirecTV drive to the national championship bus back on the road, following the biggest stories in college football. Stopping here in Nashville and taking us to the game, thanks to TJ, the bus driver there. The bus heading down to Atlanta for Saturday's Clemson-Auburn game. If TJ hurries, he can make Tennessee, North Carolina State tomorrow night. as well, which will be on ESPNU as we get set to start the fourth quarter in Nashville. Vanderbilt hasn't beaten a top 10 team since beating South Carolina on the road in 2007. Home fans haven't seen the Doors beat a top 10 team since 1974. Are they 15 minutes away? Connor Shaw back in the game. Pressure coming. Has to get rid of it. His 5th completion of the night. Very close to first down yardage, and in fact it will be enough. Eric Samuels stopping Marcus Lattimore out of the backfield, and Gamecocks needed that one desperately.
And it's a good job. It's a blitz, a zone blitz by Vanderbilt. Connor Shaw gets the ball in his hands, but Eric Samuels has to come up and strike Marcus Lattimore. As soon as he catches that football, you can't wait. It's 3rd and 6. You got to come up and make a play.
Here's the last victory over a top 10 team that I mentioned, October 20th, 1974. James Franklin trying to change the culture here. This would be a landmark victory, but it's a long, long way from that. Marcus Lattimore fights through a couple of tackles for a short gain on first down as we check in with Scott Van Pelt.
Reese, good news, bad news for Andre Parker of Kent State. The good news is everybody's going to know his name by tomorrow morning. The bad news you're about to see. It's a punt here against Towson, and it grazes Derek Joseph, and that's when our guy Andre Parker, seized by forces unknown, picks it up and runs the wrong way. And a nation of kids will learn the name Jim Marshall. Why Towson tackle him while we're at it?
We might also learn wrong way Roy Regals. Cal in the 20s in the Rose Bowl is Connor Shaw down the middle, and a big-time hit is delivered by Andre Al, and a little too much. He's going to be called for targeting as he took a huge shot at Justice Cunningham. The completion, and 15 yards going to be tacked onto it.
This is a big-time hit, big-time collision in the secondary. Very accurate throw by Connor Shaw.
Big-time throw.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, and a confident throw in a very small window. If this is targeting, we'll have to remember here, guys, I think that's the correct call. Defenseless player.
It's always targeting.
Once again, coming from a defensive
Trickle-down
standpoint.
effect. But I tell you what, though, Connor Shaw throwing the football has looked a lot better than running the football in the second half. I mean, that was a great strike.
Following the reception, personal foul, 23 of the defense, targeting a defenseless player above the shoulders. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Let's listen to this. It was the launch. I think that's an excellent call by rule.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you hit with your head or your shoulder or your elbow. It was targeted at a defenseless receiver's head.
And you know what? Hold your
Jermaine
breath.
Justice Cunningham.
I agree. But that's a grown man by Justice Cunningham right there.
Well, it's a tight end.
Seriously, that is a grown man hanging in there, taking that pop and getting up. He didn't even have his lid. He was like, I still got this.
And Cunningham had his helmet knocked off. I think because of the penalty, he's still in the game. This year, by rule, if your helmet comes off, you have to leave the game for a play. You also have to stop playing immediately beyond your action of what you're doing right then. But Cunningham's still in there. Right side of your screen, tied in. Here come the whistles.
Prior to the snap, false start, 81 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Because of the lack of height at wide receiver for South Carolina, making those vertical throws downfield has been hard. You see Steve Spurrier, Rory Anderson, who just got penalized, he's 6'5". Justice Cunningham still on the field at 6'4". Steve Spurrier going to 2 tight end sets to try to get more height on the field to maybe take a shot vertically downfield here in the red zone.
After the false start, 1st and 15. South Carolina trying to regain the lead. Connor Shaw to Lattimore. Lattimore inside the 15 before he's wrapped up. The 14-yard line, needs to get to the 7 for the first down.
Connor Shaw gives Steve Spurrier a peace of mind that he's never had since coaching here at South Carolina. And it's because of what you just saw. When plays aren't open downfield, Connor Shaw will check the football down to his running back and live to play another day. They didn't always have that with Blake Mitchell, Steven Garcia, or Chris Smelly. I think that's one thing Connor Shaw brings a lot of confidence to Steve Spurrier because of his decision making.
2nd down and 7 in the red zone. Shaw running it. Connor Shaw inside the 5, headed toward the goal line. And they're going to mark him down just short. It'll be 1st and goal, but Shaw appeared to take another lick on that shoulder. Teammates helping him up.
Wow.
Was hurt late in the first half. If you happen to just be joining us, missed latter stages of the first half and the early part of the third quarter. Took 2 more shots, one from Javon Marshall. And I think the ball,
it's where the ball is
right
when his knee touches the ground.
I think the ball might have hit first.
You know, it's amazing. You can really lead by your actions. And here's a guy that's already had to leave the game because of a shoulder injury. But that courage, trying to score, that sends a message to his teammates. Reminds me of John Elway in the Super Bowl against the Packers back in the day.
Well, he's left the field right now, and Seth Strickland has come in at quarterback. A senior backup right on the goal line. It'll be Strickland rather than Thompson, who played some. Just hand it to Marcus. Marcus powers toward the goal line and doesn't make it in. It'll be 2nd down and goal. And now Connor Shaw is coming back.
One of the most surprising things so far has been Vanderbilt's defensive line and their ability to hold up, because we didn't know if they'd come out with 2 tight ends, 2 fullbacks, but they've run a lot of the read stuff, and the misdirection has gave South Carolina all their yards. But just lining up and mashing, you would think South Carolina would be able to do that.
I think Connor Shaw is scoring some major brownie points right now with his coaching staff and with his team and with his fans, gutting this out, understanding how big this play is.
Lattimore, touchdown. And South Carolina's back on top, and Connor Shaw's arm doesn't feel very good. Still not moving that right arm, but the guts, made some big passes, made a huge run to get it to the doorstep, and Old Cocky's back on top.
And for the time being, Connor Shaw will trade the pain for this touchdown because it gives them the lead. Tremendously tough run again by Marcus Lattimore and a good surge. I'm very impressed. And I know statistically he hasn't been great, particularly throwing the ball, but on that last drive, he was very accurate, you know, playing with a bum shoulder.
And it's still his feet that set up the touchdown run. He gets it down to the 1 yard line with his legs.
A pretty important extra point here, guys. This would mean that Vanderbilt would need a touchdown to regain the lead, and they do. South Carolina up by 4 as Connor Shaw guts it up and leads his team back. Lattimore scores for the 2nd time tonight. Gamecocks by 4.
I think so.
Coming up just as soon as we're finished, it'll be Wazoo and BYU. Mike Leach, Bronco Mendenhall, back on the ESPN College Football Prime Time, served by Applebee's as part of Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week. Washington State and BYU following the good one we have from the SEC on opening night. Number 9, South Carolina, just regained the lead against Vanderbilt, 17-13. Connor Shaw nursing a sore shoulder for the Gamecocks. Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, David Pollock, and Samantha Steele. Glad to have you with us. And an entertaining opening night in Nashville as James Franklin's team hoping for a signature victory. South Carolina hoping to avoid a tough loss that would put them in an early hole in the SEC East race. And Denard, kick that will not reach the end zone, and Andre Howell's bringing it out. Howell's got speed. Here he goes. One man to beat, and he could not quite beat him. Demir Bird saved the touchdown, and Vanderbilt has great field position after the 52-yard kickoff return. Howell took one to the house against Georgia, a 96-yarder, and he very nearly answered with a touchdown here.
And here's the risk. If you don't kick this out of the end zone, you risk setting up a return. Just too much open space, too many lanes. The Black Hats getting blocks on white helmets. See the athleticism of Howell, able to change field position drastically, and that's huge considering they just gave up a touchdown, putting Jordan Rogers back on the doorstep.
And remember, it was Howell who had the targeting penalty on the last touchdown drive for South Carolina. Zach Stacy has a tough run on first down, gets it inside the 45 as we check in with Scott Van Pelt.
RD Sports Center right now, presented by Coors Light. 2003, Andy Roddick won the U.S. Open. When his 2012 U.S. Open comes to an end, his career will as well. The 30-year-old said this will do it. Said, just feel like it's time. Davey Johnson says it's about time to shut down Strasburg. Said 2 or 3 more starts, and the National League East leaders will sit down one of their best pitchers this season.
All right, Scott, as you saw in the split screen, Jordan Rogers' pass for Jordan Matthews was incomplete. It brings up a 3rd down and 5 after the big kickoff return. Vanderbilt really needs to take advantage of that great play by Andre Howe.
Jordan Matthews in the slot up top. That's your best one-on-one matchup.
Rogers looking the other way. Devin Taylor almost got him and got blocked, but unable to be stopped was Kelsey Quarles, and a sack. It's the 4th sack of the night for that South Carolina front, and the defense rises up again.
I was going to say, time and time again tonight, we've seen in sudden change situations this South Carolina defense bow up with its back to the wall, whether it's creating an interception with their backs to their own goal line or allowing a long kickoff return to set up a potential scoring drive after you've just scored. This defense has made a lot of big plays tonight.
Ace Sanders back to receive the punt. It's a low line drive, and Ace came in, and Ace is knocked down. Butler on the stop. South Carolina's regained the lead. Now they have the football back. Just over 10 minutes to play in Nashville.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. Try the new Southwest Flavors 2 for $20 menu all season long. See you tomorrow. And in part by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Well, things move fast in downtown Nashville. I'm not sure it's moving any faster than it is in the Vanderbilt band section, the entire student section alive as the Commodores with an opportunity to knock off a top 10 team. But South Carolina has the lead by 4 and the ball back inside their own 15-yard line, and they'll try to ground and pound with Marcus Lattimore. Lattimore picks up about 11 on 1st down to move the sticks for the Gamecocks.
Connor Shaw had such a great drive last possession, and I really think Connor Shaw is a more confident quarterback this year because he knows this is his team, and it wasn't always that way. Up until midway through last season, oftentimes he was looking over his shoulder when he got his playing opportunities at Stephen Garcia. He pressed, made mistakes, but when Stephen Garcia got dismissed from last year's team, he just took ownership and ran with the ball. 7-1 as a starter down the stretch. This year, there's no question, he's the man.
Lattimore picks up a couple on 1st down. It'll be 2nd and long.
And we wondered how much they would ride Marcus Lattimore, how much they'd give him the football. It's getting crunch time. What time do you think it is now?
You just ride him right now.
Absolutely, 100%. Now Connor Shaw, obviously, he's still spreading the field and giving you room to run after the last run he set up down to the 1-yard line. But yeah, 2-1, he's pretty solid. I like my chances with him.
And you saw after the last hit that Shaw took close to the goal line. You don't know how that shoulder feels that he injured in the 1st half. Lattimore, meanwhile, closing in on 100 yards. He has 83 right now. Marcus into the open field. He's got a whole bunch more. Lattimore up around 100 yards, may have eclipsed it. He did with a 23-yard run in less than a year removed from knee surgery. Marcus Lattimore returns with a splash and a 100-yard night.
Steve Spurrier has made some great adjustments in this game. One of them has been at left tackle. Brandon Shell, the freshman, is now out of the lineup. They've moved their right tackle, Mike Matulis, to the left side. He's working in tandem on this play with the tight ends to steal the edge. There was a lot of early pressure in this game on Connor Shaw and the quarterbacks coming off the edge. It's been a lot better. Give Steve Spurrier and this coaching staff credit for making the in-game adjustments.
Back to the workhorse. This time, nothing. Walker May, Franklin also in on the stop. Larry Franklin. The stop. If anything, Lattimore lost a half yard, maybe a full yard. It'll be 2nd and 11 as we wind under 8 minutes to play. Steve Spurrier. You see there is Brandon Shell, the highly touted freshman. Played a little last year before injuring his shoulder. Ended up taking a redshirt year because he was hurt early in the season and couldn't return. It was his first start tonight. Freshman Mike Davis in the backfield now. Shaw rolling, running with it. Connor Shaw takes a hit. Let's see where they mark him down. He's very close to the 1st down.
Run
Mike
it
Davis got
any
a
way
good
you
block.
can. Run it any way you can. We talked about the creativity with play calling, not just with Connor Shaw running the football. We've seen Strickland come in the game, potentially Bruce Ellington and Wildcat. They've had different backs in the backfield. That was a design run all the way, and another giant shot. I'll tell you what, that does not feel good, landing square on your back. Every time he hits the turf, he's peeling himself off the ground, trying to gut it out, get a win for his team.
85 yards rushing for Shaw and Seth Strickland, the veteran backup in the game at quarterback. Low snap. Davis has it, the freshman. His first carry, and James Davis' brother. We got a lot of brother connections in this game. The former Clemson running back, brother going to South Carolina, appeared to be targeted for a redshirt year, but they had some injuries in the backfield, notably to Brandon Wilds, and Davis playing in this season opener and getting a carry in crunch time.
Guys, just watching this game, I'm in shock. I give Steve Spurrier credit for putting his ego aside. He wants to throw the football, but he's doing what it takes to win games. This does not look anything like the offense I played in back in Gainesville under the head ball coach, but last 2 years, play good defense, run the football. You got a chance to win a lot of games. You got a chance to win your conference. And he's figured that out, and you're seeing it tonight. It's not pretty, but it's effective.
As the whistle sounds. You mean to tell me that when you played at Florida, you never had a 41 run to 13 pass
Play
ratio?
of game, 11 offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
So some game management issues for the little used Seth Strickland. You saw that with Dylan Thompson when he was in at quarterback too, letting the play clock get deep. It winds again as we go inside 6 minutes. South Carolina looking at a 2nd and 11 and time running short for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has to get the ball back. Cannot allow a touchdown.
And that's the impressive thing about this drive, guys. Not only are they running the football and running it efficiently, but they're bleeding the clock, suffocating Vanderbilt's chances of coming back and winning this game.
Strickland's going to throw it. He does over the middle, and Lattimore takes a big hit from Archibald Barnes, and the ball came loose. They're calling it an incomplete pass.
Flags on the play.
There are flags down on the play. Again, as Lattimore had his headgear knocked off. Lattimore headed to the sideline. Let's see what the flag's about. Now it's a hold. Matulis was called for the hold, the guy that Jesse just talked about moving to left tackle. And also of note, with Lattimore's helmet coming off and not coming off as a result of a penalty, he's got to go out for a play now.
Now, the good news, you see Matulis here on the left. It's a clear hold trying to protect quarterback's backside. But Kenny Miles now in place of Marcus Lattimore.
Holding, offense 76, penalties decline, 3rd down.
3rd and 11 rather than 2nd and 21. I would think that that's a nod probably to the clock, which continues to wind and is becoming an enemy of the Commodores.
I was going to say Kenny Miles in the lineup right now. Steve Spurrier thinks he's starting a lot of different programs. Good decision here by the quarterback checking it down. That is a massive, clean shot on Marcus Lattimore.
Well, Archibald Barnes talks about it. He talked about it with us yesterday. You got to bring it. You got to hit him and hit him hard, and he definitely brought the wood.
Barnes being counted on as one of the leaders. He delivered a big hit there. Play clock again inside 5. Another hold if they wanted to call it on Matulis. Shaw throws it back into the middle of the field, and it'll be enough for a 1st down. Making the catch was Ace Sanders. What about the play? No, now they're calling it incomplete.
Wow.
They're overruling it and calling it incomplete. It's a result of the officials
Something on the field is an incomplete pass.
being able to communicate very quickly. I talked earlier in the game about the communication system the SEC is experimenting with, and you saw them make that call quickly. Let's see.
No.
I think the ground helped him make that catch. I think that's the right call. Incomplete. Tremendous job again by Connor Shaw buying time. He wasn't throwing with great timing in the first half, but he's done a good job buying time and keeping his focus downfield. That's a big incompletion.
And he had plenty of room to run, but he made the right decision because he wasn't going to get the first down with his feet. You just got to catch the football.
And now South Carolina, unless they're willing to take the penalty.
I think if you're South Carolina, Steve Spurrier right now, you're punting this deep down. Try to pin them deep down their own end. Let your defense, they've been bread and butter for your football team for 2 years.
All right,
win this game.
Let me clear up. There was the play is under review to see if Sanders held on to the football, and because of that, I didn't hear Matt Austin clearly, but I believe there's going to be no delay of game penalty because of that.
This is the time last year. Vanderbilt was competitive with everybody they played down the stretch, but their depth, they wore down in second halves. And you see Connor Shaw making another pass, and they're going to review it again. But this is where Vanderbilt had to step up and make plays.
Yep.
And they had to find a way to win close games. They couldn't do it against Arkansas. They couldn't do it a number of times. This is what James Franklin's talked about all offseason. They got the ball. They're going to get the ball back right here. You got 5 minutes left. They got to find a way to finish games late.
How about this? To your point, David, 4 of Vanderbilt's losses last year by a grand total of 19 points.
Yeah.
4 of South Carolina's wins by a grand total of 13 points. One team wins the close games, they win 11. The other team loses a lot of close games, went to a bowl, but finished the game under 500.
And guys, it comes down to attitude and everything you said, Davey. James Franklin's trying to preach to this team. Last year, they thought they could win games, and they would play the Georgias and they would play the Arkansas, hoping to win. And all of a sudden, it was the fourth quarter, it was a close game, and they didn't know how to close it out. This year, they want to believe they can win each and every game. And guys, tremendous effort all night.
Field stand, incomplete pass, 4th out.
It's been tremendous effort all night by Vanderbilt. They have believed they could win this game. They got in a 10-0 hole early. They had a bad interception down in South Carolina territory, but they've never quit, and they're going to have an opportunity now to come back and get this W.
Well, the replay officials, in my judgment, very solid tonight. Still wonder about the one stepping out of bounds, but SEC Supervisor of Officials Steve Shaw said not a good enough look at that when he was up visiting with us a little while ago. As Hull puts the punt, and it goes into the end zone. And on this touchback, Vanderbilt will put it in play the 20-yard line. Jordan Rogers on his birthday. Can he lead his team to victory late?
Throughout the year, we hope that you will vote for the AT&T All-American Player of the Week. Last year, the winner was Robert Griffin III, won the Heisman Trophy, won the Player of the Year, of course, was drafted number 2 overall by the Washington Redskins. To participate throughout the year couldn't be easier. Just text your vote to 34763.
College football prime time served by Applebee's as part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. South Carolina clinging to a 4-point lead. 5:08 to play here in Nashville. Vanderbilt has the ball back. Jordan Rogers at the helm trying to lead his team to an upset over a top 10 team. Rogers to Krause, and Krause falls down and loses a yard. It'll be 2nd and 11. As soon as we finish here in Nashville, Riley Nelson took over as starting quarterback for Brigham Young last year and went 7-1 down the gut. He'll lead the Cougars against Wazoo. Debut of Mike Leach, high-flying passing attack that he's taken to the Palouse, playing in Provo tonight. What a way to start the season. We're anchoring down here in Nashville, and then we'll take you out to Provo to see the football fly around a little bit with the old Pirate calling ball plays again. Now 2nd down for Jordan Rogers. Rogers in a world of trouble, but he gets away. Now he's got a little running room and a good block by the official on Shaq Wilson. Rogers dances out of bounds and he picks up the 1st down.
If you're South Carolina's defense right now and you're going to allow Jordan Rogers to beat you tonight, he better do it from the pocket. You've said it time and time again. You cannot let him get outside. Jadeveon Clowney over-pursues the play from the backside, loses his contain, and that's a mistake from the true sophomore.
The umpire in there got a good block. That's Wilbur Hackett Jr. Wilbur gets involved in some collisions every now and then. Jordan might have beaten Shaq Wilson in the corner anyway. Zach Stacy carries it inside, 4 minutes to go. And Stacy's had a decent night, not the spectacular type of night he was hoping for. averaging nearly 4 yards per carry. With a tough, hard-nosed senior from Centerville, Alabama. 2nd and 8.
Vanderbilt's going to win the game. 3 guys need to touch the football. Jordan Rogers, Zach Stacy, Jordan Matthews, and that's it. Your best playmakers give you the best chance to win this game.
Play action. Rogers sacked. Chaz Sutton, another one of the defensive ends for South Carolina. We've talked a lot about Clowney and Taylor tonight, but Chaz Sutton, a junior from Savannah, Georgia, making a huge play.
They just grow defensive ends now in South Carolina, don't they? It's like LSU almost. Whether it's Melvin Ingram, you lose him. Jadeveon Clowney steps up. Devin Taylor. Chaz Sutton, a guy this coaching staff hopes can be the next breakout player.
Guys, Vanderbilt has all 3 timeouts left. With the clock winding down, I don't know, maybe 4-down territory deep in your own end. Kraus complete. He'll be well short of the first down. Jimmy Legree on the stop. Now 4th down. And Franklin waving to his offense saying stay out there with under 2.5 minutes to play.
Because I don't think he thinks his defense can stop the rushing attack right now of South Carolina if they have to take the field again.
And you know what? You're in the same situation either way as long as you don't allow a touchdown. You have your timeouts. You can call them on this end of the field as well. But
wow,
it would behoove the Commodores if they want to win the game to pick up 7 yards here on 4th down.
Jordan Matthews in the slot. That's got to be the go-to guy. Work the middle of the field. He's going to get press man coverage because we're bringing pressure.
And here comes the pressure. Rogers hit as he throws. Throws it up for Matthews. Can he make a play? No! In and out of the hands of their best wide receiver with DJ Schweringer on him. And the Gamecock defense rises up again.
First of all, great job by Jordan Rogers hanging in the pocket and getting smacked in the mouth. But DJ Schweringer doing a great job staying in his hip pocket. And look at, ooh.
Tug on the arm.
That would be the definition of pass interference. You thought he held it long enough, but you can't reach out.
Wow,
Remember,
right.
you can face guard in college, but you cannot reach out and grab an arm. That is blatant pass interference.
Guys, and if they make that call, Vanderbilt has possession right now on the other side of the 50-yard line. And you see James Franklin looking at the line judge. He was grabbing his arm.
And James is right.
Oh.
Vanderbilt has been frustrated over the years. Sometimes they feel that they don't get the calls, but you know what? Every team feels that way. Tough break for the Doors. They'll have to use their timeouts now as Marcus Lattimore is knocked down after a short gain. They'll try to get it back for one last-ditch effort, and Vandy uses his first timeout of the second half. So South Carolina trying to hang on. James Franklin's team hoping to get it back one more time. That is Washington State's Jeff Toole, an honorable mention All Pac-12 player a year ago, and now the Mike Leach debut. Toole will get a chance to pitch that magic beam around the yard against BYU. That is coming up next, college football primetime. Served by Applebee's, part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. We've had a dandy here in Nashville tonight. It's been a struggle at times for both teams. South Carolina trying to hold on to the 4-point lead. $1:41 to go. Vanderbilt just called a timeout. 2nd and long. Commodores have a couple more timeouts. And the Vanderbilt faithful bemoaning the lack of a pass interference call on the 4th down play a few moments ago, but perhaps one more opportunity for the Doors if they can stop South Carolina from moving the chains. Marcus Lattimore over 100 yards tonight. His first game back after a knee injury. It'll be 3rd down and another timeout called by Franklin's team. Now let's take a look, guys, at our coaching adjustments brought to you by the Home Depot.
And we're going to show you Connor Shaw and his ability with his feet to spread out a defense and really put them in compromising situations. If you start at the top of this, look at this. You got one guy here, one guy here. He's got to cover him. He's got to cover him. Here, 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 here. All right, now you look, the center's going to release up, and then Lattimore releases here. So the closest unblocked defender is 25 yards down the field. And when you run the play, you can see it unfold. Look at this. It just opens up. everybody's got a man, and because you're running with the quarterback, you pick up an extra blocker, and Connor Shaw does a good job getting it down to the 1-yard line, and they punch it in a couple plays later.
You know, we know Vanderbilt got put in a compromising situation on that play because they had to play man-to-man coverage, not something you want to do against a running quarterback like Connor Shaw, because a lot of defenders get their backs turned to the football and they can't see where he's running with it. Right now, they may be forced here soon to play man-to-man on 3rd down and just roll the dice. It looks like that's what they're in right now.
South Carolina has not been good on 3rd down tonight. Connor Shaw has got a chance to pick it up, and he does, and he slides to stay in bounds and keep the clock from stopping. Clock will stop to move the chains, but South Carolina picks up the 1st down. They very well might have iced this game.
And that's an example right there of why you don't want to play man-to-man, because you're going to see as this play develops, if you freeze it right here, look here, defenders' backs turn to the quarterback because they're covering wide receivers. They can't get there in time to make a play. They've been playing zone all game long. We've talked about them being a zone blitz team. That's a defense you just can't play against Connor Shaw.
You don't go beast mode very often with a quarterback, but he's put on a heck of a performance tonight. And I'm not going to give him beast mode because he is a quarterback, but I'm not going to give him any Skittles or anything like Marshawn Lynch.
Animal?
He's been a grown man tonight.
Yeah, you know, statistically,
he's been great.
And he hasn't been great throwing the football, but I just think from a leadership standpoint, from gutting it out, injured, this team's losing when he comes back in the game.
And Lattimore's had a quiet 100 yards. You know, and in the past, you look at South Carolina a year ago, 2 years ago, against Georgia, they had to carry the ball with Lattimore 37 times. If you could get Connor Shaw and him both touching the football and spread out the carries, both guys could be a lot more effective.
Well, Marcus Lattimore with his 100-yard rushing game, 9th of his career, and his first game back after knee surgery is our Wrangler 5-star player of the game. Let me ask you guys this. I know it's the opening night, and I'm not trying to rush to judgment personally, or for the long term of the season. Is this a top 10 football team, South Carolina?
Tonight, no, I don't think so. But again, it's handicapped because you have a quarterback that's not 100%. We don't know if their running back's 100%.
But what have we seen South Carolina do over the past several years? Win close games. And you're going to get scares. It's going to happen.
That's the look of relief right there.
Yeah, but
Steve Spurrier, he just got to get a W no matter how you can get it. It was ugly. Count your blessings. They have aspirations, Reese and Dave, to win the SEC championship. In the SEC, you just got to get it done.
Yeah, you just got to continue to win and get it done. But it didn't look pretty, but it's not always going to look. Last year they played Vanderbilt. It was 21-3. It was a pretty ugly ball game.
Good thing they're not playing Georgia week 2.
Yeah.
The schedule right now helping them out, getting to play Georgia in week 5. If they were playing Georgia next week, I'd say they're in a lot of trouble.
They're going to start the SEC race 1-0 in the SEC East. Vanderbilt, meanwhile, tough schedule. They've got Northwestern next, and among their first 5 games, also Georgia and SEC newcomer Missouri. But the Gamecocks will start with a hard-fought and well-earned victory on the road as Steve Spurrier picks up victory number 198 of his glorious career, outlasting James Franklin and Vanderbilt by a final of 17-13. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Washington State and BYU coming up next. For Jesse David, Samantha Steele, and our entire great Thursday night crew, great opener. Let's go see the Cougars and Cougars.